from January.
Today says an American watchdog warned the U.S. had failed to train Afghan support staff, leaving the country's Air Force unable to maintain its aircraft without American contractors. That report by the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction predicted the Afghan Air Force would collapse.
Fox's Jill Nato. Israel keeps jabbing residents with a fourth COVID vaccine shot, even though a new preliminary study shows that extra booster is still not enough to prevent infection from the very contagious Omicron variant. Biden COVID advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci told a World Economic Forum meeting this may not be the last variant to worry about.
Some scientists have expressed optimism that Omicron's milder cases, especially among those vaccinated, may signal a shift that will make it akin soon to the seasonal flu. Fauci admits they don't want to, quote, get into a whack-a-mole for every variant out there where you chase after them with boosters.
Fox's Sue Guzman. China claims COVID may be in the mail, that items coming in from overseas have spread the coronavirus there. Health experts say COVID's really spread, though, through the air. America's listening to Fox News.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like the course keeps changing right before your eyes. And in order to maneuver it, you need an expert by your side. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the Windows PC and tech solutions you need to help you get out in front and stay ahead of the game. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
When you order your Walgreens prescriptions with same-day delivery, it's possible you'll experience some side effects. Side effects may include joy that you won't run out of your pills and disbelief at just how crazy fast the delivery came right to your door. Get your same-day prescription refill today on the Walgreens app.
To use same-day Rx delivery or 1 to 2 business day delivery, you must be opted into prescription status alerts. It will appear as an option if orders before that store's cutoff time for the day. Certain health plans do not cover or participate in same-day Rx delivery. Check with your health plan for further details. Excludes California.
And now award-winning news coverage with Andy Humphrey on Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners, 6:03. Robinson saves you time. Currently 34 degrees. Will be mostly sunny later today with a high of 52. Good morning, I'm Andy Humphrey. Police are investigating a possible shooting in Northeast Columbia. ABC 17 reports officers were called to a home on Irma Drive between Shamrock Drive and Lake of the Woods Road late last night. Investigators were still searching through the home as of early this morning. No word on any injuries or arrests yet. Starting today, Columbia Public Schools will require everyone to wear a mask indoors. The district announced last week that they will keep the temporary requirements until February 4th. CPS will also not hold classes on Friday and the following Monday and Tuesday. Currently, the district has 140 positive coronavirus cases among students and 48 cases among staff. Cole County hospitals are admitting new COVID-19 patients every day. The Cole County Health Department's Chesney Schulte says they're working with the hospitals to determine which COVID variant is showing up.
Beginning to mid-December, where maybe that could have been Delta. Now do we see that the variant in the community and the people testing positive, if they have Omicron, do as many of those people end up hospitalized?
Schulte adds the overall confirmed cases are rising as well in Cole County. She says they've seen close to 200 new cases some days. Jefferson City Public Schools is starting a temporary mask requirement today. Helias will do the same tomorrow. An investigation into a 37-year-old Columbia man's death is back open. Police Chief Jeff Jones wrote a letter last month saying that a detective not originally involved in the case of Freddie McKee's death will look into it again. The police department had ruled that McKee's death in July of 2020 was from a drug overdose. McKee's mother, Doresia, filed a complaint with the department to reopen the case, but they refused. The Citizens Police Review Board later ruled in favor of McKee and recommended that the case be reopened. The Jefferson City man accused of a 2018 murder was back in court last week. A judge denied bond for Jajuan Worley and also denied a request to have one of his felony charges thrown out. Worley was 16 years old when he allegedly shot Justin Camrich and another victim on West Atchison Street in December of 2018. The 33-year-old Camrich later died from his injuries. Worley has been charged with first-degree murder and more. His trial will begin in March. Watch for occasional lane closures on I-70 just west of Columbia as crews work on building the new Sorrells overpass. ABC 17 reports MoDOT began construction yesterday. A 51-year-old Boonville man was seriously hurt after a truck crashed into the old overpass in October. That forced MoDOT to demolish the old bridge bridge earlier than anticipated. Construction of the new overpass should cost around $1 million. They expect it to be done by the end of May. 93.9 The Eagle News with Air Serv Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean. For all of your heating needs, log on to AIRESERV.com. It's 6:06. Mizzou women's basketball lost for the first time at home this season in a 72-62 defeat against number 13 Georgia last night. Asia Blackwell had another double-double with 27 points and 13 rebounds for the Tigers. Mizzou falls to 13-5 overall and 2-3 in SEC play. They will head out on the road Thursday for a meeting against Vanderbilt. It's a road game tonight for Mizzou men's hoops as they visit Ole Miss. The Tigers have dropped back-to-back games against Arkansas and Texas A&M in the last week. Mizzou and Ole Miss will tip off at 6 p.m. tonight on 96.7 KCMQ. Sad news for Mizzou baseball. The team announced yesterday that pitching coach Brian DeLunas died over the weekend after a battle with kidney disease. The St. Louis native was hired back to Mizzou last summer. He had served as a volunteer assistant for the Tigers between 2007 and 2009. He also coached for the Mariners and Mets in the major leagues. DeLunas was 46 years old. Braden Shen and Ivan Barbashev both had 2 goals and 2 assists as the Blues topped the Predators 5-3 last night at Enterprise Center. Before the game, the Blues retired former captain Chris Pronger's number 44 jersey. St. Louis will be at Seattle on Friday. Sports with Whit Print Shop. It's time to get with it, where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. It's 6:07. Right now, 34 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
With MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. Don't see any wrecks right now. Again, Sorrells Overpass construction could cause a few delays. There is that crossroad is closed for now as they're rebuilding that overpass, so do be careful if you're driving west of Columbia on I-70 today with those construction crews out. Let us know if you see any traffic issues. 874-9390 with a call or a text. Again, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Andy Humphrey, 93.9 The Eagle.
Did you get the vaccine? No. Why didn't you get it? What if you catch COVID? The vaccine doesn't stop you from catching COVID. Why are you being so selfish? What if you catch it and give it to me? But you've been vaccinated. Yeah, but you can still give it to me. What's the vaccine for then? It'll stop you from getting really sick and dying if you catch it. So if I catch it and give it to you, but you've already had the vaccine, it'll still stop you from getting really sick and dying. Exactly. That's why you should get it. That's why I should get it, but you got it already. But if you catch it, you could get sick and die. So by not getting the vaccine, the only person I'm putting at risk is myself of getting sick and dying. No, you're putting me at risk. And you already get the vaccine, so you won't get sick and die, even if I gave it to you. But you could give it to someone who can't be vaccinated. But so could someone who's been vaccinated, because the vaccine doesn't stop you from getting COVID.
We get more requests for that. People will they'll call and request the show, and they text, hey, where can I get that from? And sometimes I'll Facebook it to somebody. When I say I just need to do it, we need to get that up on the Wake Up Columbia podcast page so that everybody can go there and get it, because I get inundated with requests for that because of the simplicity simplicity of that, because of the common sense of that. The other thing that we're getting hit up with over the past few days, where can I get a test? Where can I get a test? We're going to have some details for that coming up for you this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle. But we will start with this here on Wake Up Columbia. Some schools today, as Andy's been covering in the news, we have some schools that we have some schools that are taking some few days off. We have other schools coming back today, but a mask mandate is in effect.
Yeah, and it's temporary for the next few weeks, it looks like, for Columbia Public Schools. It does start today. Same for Jefferson City Public Schools. And again, as we talked about yesterday, Columbia's public schools are going to not have school on Friday and then next Monday and Tuesday, because I think mainly they're dealing with they don't have enough substitute teachers because so many people are out. So that's why they're having that.
So it's a mess. And I'll tell you the things, and talking to school parents, so besides the issue last week where the superintendent of the Columbia Public School District went in effect said, well, I know that we had a public board. We had elected school board members that just weeks before voted to do away with the mandate. And then the superintendent brings it back. And we've still been researching the legality of that with the Attorney General's office, with one of the individuals in the office that actually argued the specific case, and then also with the Attorney General's office and Mr. Schmidt. So we're working on that. But here's the thing with these parents locally. Here's what they did. They acquiesced to kids, because these kids, they were walking out of the schools. And then highlighting and putting out, and these were being passed out in the hallways in the schools. These are facts. I'm not making this stuff up. These are facts. They were handing out flyers in the schools, saying, "Hey, we're going to start walking out." Some parents have said it's from teachers, and I can't verify that. I don't go lurking around in the schools, but when you hear it from more than one individual, you got to put some stock in that. And you also have to consider the history of what has happened inside some of the school buildings within the Columbia Public School District with the BLM signs that were up apparently all summer. And then administration, we forgot to take them down. All summer and back into school. You just forgot to take them down. So we know the history, and that oftentimes can be a guiding force. And unfortunately, it's not always fair, but it's the way it is. So we know what's happening there. And also, I thought this was really interesting because I've had several conversations regarding sunshine requests. When these students first started walking out of their classes last week, 2 weeks ago, at Hickman, you know what's right across the street from Hickman High School? ABC 17, our news partners at ABC 17, right across the street. Oftentimes when you see their talented bench of reporters reporting on school issues, they'll go across the street and report from Hickman High School. It was interesting. ABC 17 wasn't there, and I don't know if they not notified or what. But KOMU, which is, what's the relationship with KOMU and the University of Missouri? Is it training ground? Is it university money? Does anybody know? I don't mean to catch anybody off guard.
Well, yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
It's mainly student reporters. There are some full-time people there, but most of their operation is run by students.
People over the years like Jim Reek, what a legend in this market he was. He's now retired. So you've got that, which is run in effect by the college. And then you have KOMU. They were the only news outlet, them and the Columbia Missourian. Is there any relationship between the Missourian?
Same thing.
Okay.
Sort of the newspaper version of KOMU, yes.
So you're dealing with KOMU and the Missourian in Columbia Public Schools. The only television station that was there for that first walkout, in which school leaders eventually they acquiesced to the students. Oh my God, you got to keep walking out. Okay, you run this place, not us, not the elected school board. You run it. You 16-year-old and 15-year-old, you run the school. KOMU is the only TV station there. And I just thought it was odd. Does it make you a little suspicious? Why is it just them that was there? Somebody in the school say, hey, we're going to start walking out. You should come get some film of this.
Now, I know that it's easy to get cranky with some of the officials in the school for, maybe giving in to these kids. But as the school administrator, what do you do in that situation? Because it was
Put your foot down.
It was not a small group of kids.
You put your foot down and bang on the desk. And say, cool, stay out of class, lock the doors. When they walk out, don't let them back in. Call your mom and dad.
Because their flyer said that they were going to stand outside for 5 minutes longer every day that they walked out. So, like, what do you do in that situation?
Well, let them do it Thursday when our high is going to be 18 degrees. And then as we keep getting cold, keep going and standing outside, and then add 5 minutes every day. As a school administrator who gets paid a lot of money from your taxpayer dollars and my taxpayer dollars, you put your foot down, do the job that you were brought here to do. Your job is not to be soft on kids. You gotta do something, and they're simply not doing it. And that's what has angered parents. It's got to be incredibly frustrating. But I just think it's odd. KLMU, in effect, I want to say student-run station and the student newspaper. The only ones there. So who tipped them off? Something I just think that's interesting. So a lot of frustrated parents this morning. So 7:35, we start dismantling what is the current edition of the Columbia Public School Board, because we've seen what they've done in meetings, telling people you're being derogatory when the facts say, according to video, nobody's being derogatory. We know how they ended that meeting. That stuff's all out there for you to see. 7:35. Please let your friends know. And if you pay property taxes here, you should be here at 7:35. Andrea Lisenby, Columbia Public School Board candidate. And I think there's at least 3 right now. There were more. One of them has dropped out. We're going to have an opportunity to meet these school board candidates. And I'll go back to Brianna Lennon, Boone County clerk, who she didn't quote tweet me, Hannah. What did she do? I made a statement in a conversation we had here on 93.9 The Eagle, and then she tweeted.
She quoted you on Twitter.
So it wasn't a tweet quote or a quote tweet.
No, because that would have required you to tweet it first.
Andy, cousin Andy's, if you're watching.
Andy, do you see what I put up with every day?
Are we back to trying to teach Branden Twitter? Is this an everyday thing?
He gave up after like 2 weeks.
Well, we get on the social media, and yesterday, for
confirmation bias,
5 days, I've been on Getter and asking, like, okay, what handle do I use? What name do I use?
Oh my gosh, that was a whole separate ordeal. You were blowing my phone up. Like, what should I make my username? What should I make my display name?
Because I'm doing research.
I don't know.
Well, I figure it's like Twitter. It's just you ain't going to get blackballed for saying something that people disagree with. So it's just like this. So that's why. And it was funny because Hannah and Stephanie, Andy, they said, well, research it. I said, that's what I'm doing by asking you guys. This is research.
Stephanie and I both told him that we had no experience with Getter. And he came to us
I don't even know
for
what
advice.
that is.
Exactly.
It's the flavor of the month on social media. Remember Parler? No? Yeah, nobody else does either.
I mean.
But here's the thing. So even getting on to Getter, I get on Twitter. I just don't have time for that stuff. And I know I should be, and I should be out there because everybody wants to know what I think. I have time for it. But maybe anybody on Getter, if you're on Getter, let us know. Be interesting to hear from you if you're on any of these other social media outlets. 874-9390. School board candidate Andrea Lisenby, Columbia Public Schools, she's going to be joining us 7:35 this morning. I want to share an email from management yesterday, guys, because this involves you, cousin Andy and Hannah, the producer.
What did you do?
Branden, adequate show today.
Oh, ouch.
Isn't adequate about the worst? Like, if somebody says, man, your show sucked yesterday, wouldn't you rather say it sucked as opposed to...
I'd rather hear that than...
Adequate.
Adequate.
That's harsh. Adequate show today on the Martin Luther King holiday. Please refrain from referring to the assistant news director of the Zimmer radio network as Cousin Andy. It doesn't sound... I'm like, yeah, I think you got a good point there. If I'm referring to a guy who's delivering some serious news this morning, there's going to be some potential backups on I-70 over the next couple of months as they start working on that I-70 Searles Road overpass. You can expect lane closures both ways in the coming weeks. When you're talking about serious stuff like that, you're talking about what's happening in your schools, and I'm referring to you as Cousin Andy. So it's Andy Humphrey. Good morning, bud. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Man, seriously, I know I tell you this personally, but people need to know it publicly. You are doing incredible work. I know it's hard for people to get up at whatever time you have to get up to be here to make sure that people in mid-Missouri know what's happening.
Well, and that's I like doing it. So I mean, it's definitely been fun.
And then to go and an incredible show on his afternoon show yesterday talking about the Chiefs and everything else happening on in the football playoffs was just remarkable. And then getting word about a former Mizzou baseball coach, not the head coach, but I think a pitching coach.
Yeah, it's sad news yesterday. Brian DeLunas passed away, and he was going to be the pitching coach, or he was hired to be the pitching coach for Mizzou just this season, was just hired last summer, and really unfortunate. Lost the battle with kidney disease, but definitely a lot of folks were saying really nice stuff about the impact he had. He was a St. Louis native, really important guy.
As a matter of fact, we lived in the same neighborhood. I didn't know the guy. We lived in the same neighborhood, South County. So you take 50, you get to St. Louis, and then turn right at 55 and go down south, just a little outside of the city limits. We grew up in the same area. My brother went to Oakville High School, just like this guy did. And we always talk about, people are saying good things and the stereotypical, he was a blessed soul. But this is just, when people are talking about this guy, you sense the passion. They're saying, gosh, this guy was so good. So welcome to the show. That is Andy Humphrey. There is Hannah, the producer. Tony has a question for Hannah, the producer, via text, but I don't have time to get to it here. So we'll do that after the daily DC rundown.
You're going to make me sweat it?
Which is it's good. It's good. It's just a question. Daily DC rundown. Oh, they keep trying there in D.C. What's the big thing they're going to be trying to do today? We'll have that coming up. 6:26 here on 93.9 The Eagle.
The power of local talk. Wake up Columbia with Branden. 93.9 The Eagle.
It's time for every elected official in America to make it clear where they stand. It's time for every American to stand up, speak out, be heard. Where do you stand? Whose side are you on?
That's specifically ambiguous, Joe. That gets us into today's daily DC rundown on 93.9 The Eagle. Stephanie Pell has the day off. Oh, bless their little hearts. They keep trying. And actually right now it's about the filibuster, which, by the way, filibusters, the filibuster proof. The majority of the Senate, which, by the way, it appears, you hate to count the chickens before the eggs are hatched, but it looks like this is just absolutely, this idea on the filibuster is not going to pass so they can cram through legislation. And remember, here's the thing that I find most horrifying about this, and it's not about this voting right stuff and trying to undo what states have done, but it's the language that's being used.
Mark my words, what's at stake here is not the politics of 2005, but the federal judiciary and the United States Senate of the year 2025.
Biden making those remarks in 2005. Mark my words. Because remember, he was against it before he was for it. And then he said last week, doing whatever it takes. That's the part that we should be worried about. Whatever it takes to get this done. That's the part, at least, that I find frightening. So facing, and by the way, he's getting criticized even from civil rights leader following his tongue lashing last week and a bunch of BS about, hey, you don't want to enact this voting rights legislation, which the whole name is BS anyway. You don't want to enact this? It's Jim Crow. You're a racist. As a matter of fact, so much so, the lone black conservative in the Senate, Tim Scott, South Carolina, is putting out videos saying, yeah, it's BS. That's your daily DC rundown here on 93.9 The Eagle. Coming up, Christopher Arps is here. In Jefferson City, a couple of things coming down the pipeline that can affect us, that will have real-life consequences. He's going to be joining us. The idea of making a constitutional amendment more difficult to eventually get in the books. What do you think about that? Chris and I got to talk about that coming up at 6:35 here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com, where you can listen live.
News. I'm Chris Foster. Debate on voting rights legislation is scheduled to start today in the Senate. President Biden says all other rights flow from the right to vote.
It's no longer just about who gets to vote. It's about who gets to count the vote and whether your vote counts at all. It's about two insidious things: voter suppression and election subversion.
Republicans in Congress call the Democrats' plan an unnecessary federal power grab. Coronavirus hospitalizations are leveling off or dropping in parts of the country hit early by the Omicron variant, but they're up elsewhere.
The Department of Health and Human Services reporting that over 1,000 hospitals nationwide are experiencing critical staffing shortages, with nearly 80% of inpatient beds in use. In Illinois, the governor now urging hospitals to suspend elective procedures, with fewer than 10% of ICU beds available in that state.
Fox's Laura Engel. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning news coverage with Andy Humphrey on Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners, 6:31. Robinson saves you time. Currently 34 degrees. Good morning, I'm Andy Humphrey. We're waiting to find out more details about a possible shooting in Northeast Columbia. ABC 17 reports officers were still investigating as of early this morning at a home on Irma Drive between Shamrock Drive and Lake of the Woods Road. It's not clear if anyone was hurt or arrested. Masking is now required inside Columbia Public Schools buildings. The district's temporary mask requirement goes into effect today and runs runs through Friday, February 4th. There are 140 active student coronavirus cases and 48 staffers that are currently positive. CPS will not have in-person classes on Friday as well as next Monday and Tuesday. Kids are back in masks in Jefferson City, too. A temporary mask requirement begins today for Jefferson City Public Schools, and Helias will start one tomorrow following a deep cleaning of the building today. Cole County Health's Chesney Schulte.
We're definitely seeing that the number of positive cases in the county is certainly increasing rapidly. Monday, for example, we've had 184 positive cases so far in the county.
Schulte adds that Cole County's 2 hospitals are seeing new COVID admissions every day. She says they're now tracking to see if the majority of those cases are the Omicron variant of the virus. Police have reopened an investigation into the July 2020 death of a 37-year-old Columbia man. CPD initially ruled Freddie McKee's death was a drug overdose. His mother, Doresia McKee, had questioned that ruling and the investigation. She filed a complaint with the police department, which initially refused to reopen the investigation. McKee then filed an appeal with the Citizens Police Review Board, which recommended the case be reopened. Police Chief Jeff Jones said in early December that he would assign a detective who was not involved in the original case to determine if more investigation is needed. A judge has denied bond for a Jefferson City man accused of a 2018 killing. The decision came last week in the case of Jajuan Worley. He is accused of several felonies, including first-degree murder. Prosecutors say Worley shot 33-year-old Justin Camerich and another 20-year-old victim outside an apartment building on West Atchison Street in December 2018. Camerich later died from his injuries. Worley was 16 at the time of the shooting, but is being tried as an adult. He will go on trial in March. MoDOT says the new Sorrells overpass is under construction now. ABC 17 reports the agency began work on the overpass just west of Columbia on I-70 yesterday. Crews had to demolish the old overpass after a truck crashed into it in October. The driver, a 51-year-old Boonville man, suffered serious injuries. Construction of the overpass should wrap up in late May. The project is estimated to cost about $1 million. 93.9 The Eagle News with Mid-America Mortgage. Check out midamericamortgage.us and apply for a loan now on your dream home. It's 6:34. Asia Blackwell had 27 points and 13 rebounds, but Mizzou women's hoops fell against number 13 Georgia last night, 72-62. It's Mizzou's first loss at home this season. The Tigers are now 13-5 overall and 2-3 in conference play. Next up is a road matchup against Vanderbilt on Thursday. Mizzou men's basketball will try to shake off back-to-back losses as they travel to face Ole Miss tonight. The Tigers are just 1-3 to start SEC play so far. Tip-off in Oxford is set for 6 p.m. Catch the game on 96.7 KCMQ. Many in the Mizzou baseball community are mourning the loss of Brian DeLunas. The St. Louis native passed away from kidney disease over the weekend. DeLunas was hired to be the Tigers pitching coach last summer. He was a volunteer assistant for Mizzou between 2007 and 2009, then spent 4 seasons coaching for several Major League Baseball teams. DeLunas was 46 years old. Mizzou baseball starts its season next month. The Blues retired Chris Pronger's jersey number 44 last night at Enterprise Center. They also came back to defeat the Predators 5-3 thanks to 2 goal performances from both Braden Shen and Ivan Barbashev. St. Louis plays at Seattle on Friday. Sports with Service Master Clean of Columbia. If you have fire, water, or mold damage, tell your insurance agent you want the master of disaster with the big yellow van. Adam Kinzer with ServiceMasterofColumbia.com. It's 6:35.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. We're seeing clear roads so far. No reports of wrecks just yet. Do be careful, though. There could be some construction near the Sorrells overpass as they're working on that construction of the new bridge there. So be careful on I-70 if you are traveling just west of Columbia, either direction. Let us know if you need need anything or need to report a traffic issue. 874-9390 with a call or a text. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Andy Humphrey, 93.9 The Eagle.
Chris. Hi, I'm Becky Arps, and I am so excited that you get to experience a bit of the thoughts I hear every single day. Enjoy.
Chris.
Missouri-based political consultant Christopher Arps hanging out with us here.
CHRIS.
93.9 The Eagle, man. When it comes to Mo politics, he knows all about it. As a matter of fact, great conversation a couple of weeks ago, right as the legislative session opened up. Chris was there. Before we get into some of the topics, because there are some important things that are happening this morning. These are going to start today in Jefferson City. Things that will affect us politically. I think things could have the potential to affect us even socially. Those things starting really today. But first, I want to ask you. You were there. We were all hanging out. All the regular players in the game, and I would even venture to say some of the all-stars, including Chris, and some of the all-star politicians, if you will. What kind of sense? And I know it's always easy as well. We're opening up here. We get a sense of what we think is going to happen this session. After what happened in the Senate, kind of started off with some combustion, kind of where we left off last year. What is your sense of this legislative session?
Well, I think because this is an election year, it's not going to be a quiet year. We have a lot of folks that are running for different offices, and we saw on the opening day of the session a little rancor there in the Senate. The conservative caucus were kind of flexing their muscles there. So I don't think it's going to be a quiet session. I think it's going to be a raucous session, and I'm going to be can't wait to cover it.
So, like all of us, Sunday, I mean, everybody here, we're hanging out, man. We're doing some hot wings. We're watching Chiefs football. You're getting hot wings. You're watching what's happening in the Senate this year. Chris Arps joining us here on the show this morning. Here's some of the things, and I wonder about some of these issues. For example, the idea of making it harder to get a sunshine request, making it more expensive, things like that. Because you're in media. Yeah. We've had a lot of parents, by the way, in the Columbia Public School. We posted documents from the Attorney General's office so parents in Columbia could start taking action against this just this horrible school board here. And shouldn't say the people are horrible. They've made horrible decisions.
Well, I have to tell you, Branden, I'm a little disappointed in the governor's move to try to make getting public records a little more difficult. We're conservatives, and we believe in open government, and we should know what's going on. And it disappoints me that a conservative governor wants to take this tack. We have the Show Me Institute, which is a sponsor on our station in St. Louis, and they run commercials about CRT and them trying to get FOIA requests from these school districts on if they're teaching CRT. And they tell how about rural school districts are asking for like $29,000 for the records that they're requesting. Kansas City School District asks, I think, for like $50,000, which is outrageous. The people, the taxpayers need to know what their government is doing. And so I don't support this move by the governor at all.
And apparently it's kind of uncovered. This is more like a cabinet level meeting. Somebody heard about it and somebody's talking about it. So it'll be interesting to see if it's going to come to the floor in Jefferson City. Christopher Arps hanging out with us here on 93.9 The Eagle. By the way, and I do want to take a minute and we'll fly out to Washington, D.C. and talking about what's happening on the Senate floor there today. But I want to ask you this, too.
Sure.
This idea, trying to make it harder. I don't know if harder is the right word, but you see how some of our progressive friends in some of the progressive media outlets, Republicans renewing a push to make it harder for voters. And I wonder sometimes, are we making it harder? Are we tightening up the process? I'm not sure I'm on board with this because of the same reasons you said, access to government. Hey, can we at least get this on the ballot? Why do we want to make this harder? I don't like this idea, Chris.
Well, the Voting Rights Act, there's actually two bills that are up.
Right. I'm sorry. I wasn't clear here. Hannah's waving at me. Branden, you didn't make sense. I want to talk about the voting.
Go figure. You weren't clear on something.
Rights bill in D.C. But first, back here in mid-Missouri, Republicans renewing push to make it harder for voters to amend Missouri Constitution. That's what I'm asking you about.
That I support. Look,
really?
I do, because, our Constitution has been amended with probably like 10% of the people voting. It's very easy I think it should be much harder to amend the Constitution. And because of that, because it's so easy, that's why we've got Clean Missouri, which was sold as one thing, but was really a bunch of other things. So, yeah, I support that. It should be harder to change the Missouri Constitution. I agree with that whole 100%.
All right, Chris Arps, ChristopherArps.com. See him on Newsmax TV all the time. By the way, good thing you're not on OAN.
You wouldn't see me, would you?
No. I can't remember which. Is it DirecTV? One of the big cable providers says, hey, at a certain point, we're going to have to drop them. Now, they can say that it's not financially feasible for them, and that's fair. People get upset. And DirecTV, they have that right. It's like Facebook, Twitter. They have the right to boot you off. Absolutely, they do. Same thing with DirecTV. They have that right. But, Chris, this just gives us more insight into this hypocritical mindset that we see on the far left.
Well, DirecTV is a private company, and they can do whatever they feel is best for their bottom line. But what bothers me about this is they're not really giving a reason why they're dropping OAN. They're not saying, oh, the ratings were bad or this or that. It's just, we're dropping them, which makes me think that they are dropping OANN because of pressure from liberals, not because it's a business decision. So, like I said, they don't owe us an explanation, but I'd like to know, why are they dropping them? Is it for their editorial content, or is it for economic and business reasons? We just don't know.
And unfortunately, the progressives, the far left liberals, they're good at pressuring people. We have seen it here in Columbia. Our Columbia Public School superintendent, in my opinion, acquiesced to kids who were walking out of school and saying, we're going to extend our walkouts every day until you put back in a mask mandate that an elected school board just undid. And now you're going to unilaterally, in effect, because you face some pressure from 14, 15, 16-year-old kids because they're walking out of school, put your cowboy boots on and do your damn job, man. But it's that pressure.
Put them in detention.
Something, yeah. Or here's my idea. Thursday's high is only 18 degrees. Why don't you start your walkouts Thursday? And then when you walk out, lock the doors. Stay out.
Exactly.
Get out. Stay out. God, man.
No wonder we're not school administrators, huh?
Woo! Chris Arps, ChristopherArps.com, hanging out with us. By the way, Chris is on Newsmax. See him typically Tuesdays and Thursdays.
It all changes. I was actually on Sunday and yesterday, so you never know.
All right, Chris.
You have to keep tuning in. How's that?
We keep tuning in. Newsmax TV. That's where we find Christopher Arps, good friend of ours, featured speaker at last year's Boone County Lincoln Days event. We need to get you here for a Columbia Pachyderm meeting. Mark McCloskey's he's going to come hang out with us on the show Friday, not this Friday, but whatever the next Friday is, Hannah, on the calendar. He's going to come hang out with us in studio, and then he's going to go and speak at the Columbia Pachyderm, that meeting. So that'll be the 29th, Friday the 30th.
28th.
28th. I ain't good at the English language, Chris, and I especially ain't good at sign language.
Or counting fingers.
How many days are in January, Branden?
28, man.
I mean, that's not wrong.
That's not wrong.
But there's more than that.
You know what? That is, Hannah, it sounds like I'm rubbing off on you. I love that. That is accurate.
Jesus, I need to get out of here.
There are 28 days in January, right?
Yeah, and there's 2 more after that, I hope.
3.
3 more. See? I can't ever.
Woo! We are on it. Let's move on from math because we ain't very good at this, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, man, I'm going to
put a 4 on my ACT on math.
Really?
No joke. Yeah, I'm terrible at math.
So check this. A 4? How bad is that, Hannah? Put that in perspective for us.
It's pretty bad.
What did you get, Hannah?
Like a 20, maybe. Maybe. I don't remember.
Listen, I want to get serious here. We got to move forward because I want to chat with you some more, but we're going to have to take a break. What I was going to say on the ACTs, before I had ever taken them, I used to lie. Listen, I'm not a high school dropout.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't go back. one summer. I was like, yeah, I kind of like this. But eventually, I got my GED. I got almost a perfect score. I got enough of a high score. I got scholarship money, and that's how I paid my way through college, a scholarship off of my GED. But I used to lie to people before I had taken the ACT. What'd you get on your ACT? And I say, I think I got like a 95, 96%. And it doesn't work that way. All right, I'm going to pump the brakes here, man. Man, I hate to end the party here, but I want to make a right-hand turn and talk about something that's near and dear to you and to me, and something that if you are listening to 93.9 The Eagle right now here at 6:47 on Tuesday morning, if you are listening right now, if you can hear my voice, this is something that you can relate to. And we're going to chat with Christopher about this coming up. We'll do that at 6:52 here on 93.9 The Eagle at 93.9theeagle.com. By the way, you can only watch on YouTube this morning. No video feed on Facebook. You will have to go to YouTube, search 93.9 The Eagle Live. Watch the show.
Local opinion? We've got your back. Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle.
Coming up 7 o'clock, Fox News is here. All those Dems, they just keep on trying. Remember Joe said, what did he say last week, 2 weeks ago? In effect, whatever it takes. Joe said that. That's stark language, whatever it takes. On this filibuster so we can eventually get voting rights legislation. And then coming up at 7:03, Andy Humphrey is going to be joining us. A lot of PO'd parents this morning, a lot of stressed parents this morning. Jefferson City, Columbia's kids are going back. And also, so you know, Mizzou students, they're back. Going to be crazy around campus. Tell you this, it was crazy in the Walmart on Grindstone last night. Welcome to the show. Wake Up Columbia. Stephanie and Brian have the day off. That's Hannah, the producer. I am Branden Rathert. One of the most knowledgeable folks when it comes to Missouri politics, and somebody who's not a former politician. Chris Arps hanging out with us. Love the guy, and love the fact you haven't been an elected politician in D.C. And we have fun and we talk about things that affect people. But as we wrap up here in the next 3 minutes, I want to do, if you don't mind, I want to get a little personal here. You know how I feel about my dad. You've met my dad. You know my dad, and man, my heart breaks to hear news that you wanted to talk about a little bit here this morning on Wake Up Columbia.
Yeah, I posted it on my Facebook page yesterday, but a week ago I lost my father. Passed away from a brief illness. And, it's something that we all are going to have to go through eventually, but you're never really prepared for it. And so he's gone, but he left me a lot of great memories, a great legacy. And I have to tell you, my father gave me my love of politics and public policy and of radio. I tell a story that I can remember in 1972. My father taking me to Northwest Plaza, a major shopping center here in St. Louis at one time, to go to a George McGovern rally in 1972 when he was running against Richard Nixon. My father loved talk radio, and as a kid, I'd listen to KMOX with him and started enjoying it and trying to learn about it. So my dad's really responsible for my radio career, political career, and he lived a good life, 78 years old, taught me a lot of life lessons about entrepreneurship, was a natural, charismatic person. And so we're going to miss him, and just want to say I love you, Dad. And thank you, Branden, for giving me this opportunity to talk about him a little bit.
My heart breaks for you, Chris. Hannah, I'll tell you, I'm like, and if you're watching on YouTube, I'm like on the verge of tears right now. And here's the thing, and here's why I ask you this, because I'm going to have to draw on your experience one day when that time comes for my dad. And somebody listening to 93.9 The Eagle this morning will go, hey, man, here's somebody they've lost his father, who was responsible largely for the human being that he is today. How do you deal with that? I do want to, before we let you go real quick, listener, Scotty, you're on with Chris. What's up, Scotty?
Hey, Branden, how you doing? I wanted to holler at Christopher.
Go ahead.
Hey,
you got about 30 seconds.
My name's Scotty, and I know you probably hear me on here quite a bit.
Yes.
Unfortunately, my father passed on to his next circle of life just a little over 4 years ago. Your pop ain't gone, man. Don't you ever think that. Close your eyes, listen with your heart. Dad will be there to talk to you. Remember all the good stuff to keep you warm on the cold nights. He's with you forever, and he's no longer in pain, man. Branden, get ready for it. It's going to happen. And, guys, I don't BS. I'm a very blunt man. It don't get no better, but you will learn how to deal with it better as time progresses.
Scotty, thank you. Thank you for the phone call, man. I appreciate that.
Scotty, thank you. That means so much to me. And I tell you what helps me so much is that I know as a Christian that I will see him again in the kingdom in eternity. And that gives me great solace.
Amen. We obviously, it's not just us here on the Wake Up Columbia family that loves you. We've got folks here in mid-Missouri that love you too, man. And anything you need from us, let you know. You have a good day, Chris.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, man. He has that experience to pass along, and we'll be able to draw. And that's the thing. I think, whenever crappy things happen in life, one of the good things I think that we can always immediately take out of it is, you know what? One day I can help somebody else because I've had that experience.
He keeps trying to uninstall his agenda. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
It's time for every American to stand up, speak out, be heard. Where do you stand? Whose side are you on?
President Biden pushing the Democrats' plan for election reform to counter new Republican-led state laws. The Senate will consider it today and a rule change needed to get around GOP opposition, but two Democrats don't support that change, so it's expected to fail. Republicans call the reform plan a Democrat federal election takeover, and Senator John Kennedy tells Fox getting rid of the filibuster
would be like giving whiskey and car keys to a teenage boy.
There's an update on Texas's controversial abortion law. Pro-choice advocates may not like it. Fox's Jeff Manasso has details live.
Dave, a federal appeals court sends the Texas abortion law case to the state's Republican-controlled Supreme Court. A law that bans abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy and allows a private citizen to sue people who allegedly perform abortions. The Fifth Circuit's ruling follows a ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court last month, which allowed a suit against the Texas law to proceed. The ruling was procedural and not related to the law's constitutionality. No word on when the Texas Supreme Court will take the case. Dave.
Jeff, we're learning the British national behind the Texas synagogue standoff Saturday stayed at homeless shelters in recent weeks. And a BBC report says Malik Faisal Akram was known to British intelligence but assessed to no longer be a threat when he came to the U.S. last year. He was shot and killed after the last of the 4 hostages ran out. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will go to Ukraine to meet with the country's president tomorrow after talks last week with Russia failed to ease concerns Russia might invade. A group of U.S. senators is already there, including Democrat Richard Blumenthal.
We will give the people of Ukraine the arms, lethal arms, they need to defend their lives.
America's listening to Fox News.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like the world is throwing everything it has at you. And to succeed, you need someone to guide you through. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the Windows PCs and tech advice to help you navigate whatever challenges you're up against and get you safely to where you want to be. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
When you fill your prescriptions at Walgreens, you can track the progress of your order in real time. Know the price of your prescriptions before you go to pick them up. And anytime you have questions, use Pharmacy Chat to ask an expert 24 hours a day. Help with your meds from Walgreens. Side effects may include breathing a little easier because your prescription stress melted away. Learn more on the Walgreens app.
This price isn't final. This is an estimated price based on your insurance coverage.
And now award-winning news coverage with Andy Humphrey on Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners, 7:03. Robinson saves you time. Currently 34 degrees. We will be mostly sunny this afternoon with a high of 52. Good morning, I'm Andy Humphrey. Police are investigating a possible shooting in Northeast Columbia. ABC 17 reports officers were called to a home on Irma Drive between Shamrock Drive and Lake of the Woods Road late last night. Investigators were still searching through the home as of early this morning. No word on any injuries or arrests yet. Starting today, Columbia Public Schools will require everyone to wear a mask indoors. The district announced last week that they will keep the temporary requirements until February 4th. CPS will also not hold classes this Friday and the following Monday and Tuesday. Currently, the district has 140 positive coronavirus cases among students and 48 cases among staff. Cole County hospitals are admitting new COVID-19 patients every day. The Cole County Health Department's Chesney Schulte says they're working with the hospitals to determine which COVID variant is showing up.
Beginning to mid-December, where maybe that could have been Delta. Now do we see that the variant in the community and the people testing positive, if they have Omicron, do as many of those people end up hospitalized?
Schulte adds the overall confirmed cases are rising as well in Cole County. She says they've seen close to 200 new cases some days. Jefferson City Public Schools is starting a temporary mask requirement today. Helias will do the same tomorrow. An investigation into a 37-year-old Columbia man's death is back open. Police Chief Jeff Jones wrote a letter last month saying that a detective not originally involved in the case of Freddie McKee's death will look into it again. The police Police Department had ruled that McKee's death in July of 2020 was from a drug overdose. McKee's mother, Doresia, filed a complaint with the department to reopen the case, but they refused. The Citizens Police Review Board later ruled in favor of McKee and recommended that the case be reopened. The Jefferson City man accused of a 2018 murder was back in court last week. A judge denied bond for Jaquan Worley and also denied a request to have one of his felony charges thrown out. Worley was 16 years old when he allegedly shot Justin Camerich and another victim on West Atchison Street in December of 2018. The 33-year-old Camerich later died from his injuries. Worley has been charged with first-degree murder and more. His trial will begin in March. Watch for occasional lane closures on I-70 just west of Columbia as crews work on building the new Sorrells overpass. ABC 17 reports MoDOT began construction yesterday. A 51-year-old Boonville man was seriously hurt after a truck crashed into the old overpass in October. That forced MoDOT to demolish the old bridge earlier than anticipated. Construction of the new overpass should cost around $1 million. They expect it to be done by the end of May. 93.9 The Eagle News with the Candy Factory. Celebrate those January birthdays with tasty treats and delicious handmade chocolates and candies from the Candy Factory in downtown Columbia. You deserve a January celebration. Anniversary, birthday, any day. Find us at thecandyfactoryonline.com. It's 7:06. Mizzou women's basketball lost for the first time at home this season in a 72-62 defeat against number 13 Georgia last night. Asia Blackwell had another double-double with 27 points and 13 rebounds for the Tigers. Mizzou falls to 13-5 overall and 2-3 in SEC play. They will head out on the road Thursday for a meeting against Vanderbilt. It's a road game tonight for Mizzou men's hoops as they visit Ole Miss. The Tigers have dropped back-to-back games against Arkansas and Texas A&M in the last week. Mizzou and Ole Miss will tip off at 6 p.m. tonight on 96.7 KCMQ. Sad news for Mizzou baseball. The team announced yesterday that pitching coach Brian DeLunas died over the weekend after a battle with kidney disease. The St. Louis native was hired back to Mizzou last summer. He had served as a volunteer assistant for the Tigers between 2007 and 2009. He also coached for the Mariners and Mets in the major leagues. DeLunas was 46 years old. Braden Shen and Ivan Barbashev both had 2 goals and 2 assists as the Blues topped the Predators 5-3 last night at Enterprise Center. Before the game, the Blues retired former captain Chris Pronger's number 44 jersey. St. Louis will be at Seattle on Friday. It's 7:07. Right now, 34 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidbowHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidbowHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. No reports of wrecks yet in Columbia or Boone County. Do be careful. Could see some occasional lane closures. Don't know when exactly those will be happening for the Sorrells overpass construction just west of Columbia on I-70, but could be either direction. Be careful if you're driving that way. So let us know if you see any traffic issues. 874-9390 with a call or a text. Again, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Andy Humphrey. Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle.
Into a rubber stamp of dictatorship.
Into the rubber stamp of dictatorship.
They want to make this country into a banana republic.
They want to make this country into a banana republic.
If you don't get your way, you change the rules.
Where if you don't get your way, you change the rules.
It will be a doomsday for democracy if we do.
It'll be a doomsday for democracy if we do.
That has to be, again, winners and losers of the week. We do it every Friday morning, 8:35, and then at the end of the year, we do the winners and losers of the year. Tom Cotton, the senator from Arkansas, from the same state that has that college basketball team that clobbered the out of Mizzou last week. Senator Tom Cotton from that state, using Chuck Schumer's words from 2005. Chuck Schumer saying no filibuster. He was against it before he was for it. But now, obviously, he wants to do away with the filibuster. But years ago, you heard in Chuck Schumer's words, from his words, 2005, he was against it. Tom Cotton last week on the Senate floor, verbatim. And this... Listen, I know a lot of the cable news stuff. It's about, so-and-so confront so-and-so, and so-and-so blasts this person, and, Kamala criticizes. It's all these words, people just fighting. This, what we heard here, what we got to see take place in our lifetime, really, one of the most epic, polite, intelligent takedowns I think we've ever seen in politics. To use verbatim, to plagiarize in a good way, a speech at the guy, Chuck Schumer, who is adamant, he's in tears, he's not going to get this thing through today in D.C. because of Cinnamon Mansion, who is so adamant, he was so against it, and now he's so for it. And for Senator Tom Cotton to use those words, simply brilliant. That's one of the big things happening in Washington, D.C. today. Here at 93.9 The Eagle, it's Wake Up Columbia. Andy Humphrey, Hannah, the producer. My name is Branden. Rathert, Stephanie Bell, Brian Hauswirth they both have the day off. Something we can do for you, please let us know. 874-9390, 874-9390. They will, as a matter of fact, I had an opportunity to chat with Chris Arps a little bit off air. Chris has Project 21. Chris is not just a Missouri-based political consultant. Christopher Arps not only helped a pretty solid presidential campaign for Ted Cruz years ago, 6 years ago at this point almost. Not only has he done that, but Chris is about voting rights. Chris Arps is about voting rights as it relates to black people. Chris Arps will tell you how fatally flawed just the idea of this voting rights legislation that they want to pass. There's an interesting article, I think it was Business Insider, and some guy, and I'm not one of those, I don't like to sling fear, I don't do that. I just don't do that. But this guy writes, if looking at history and you can compare, hey, here's what was happening in our country back in, leading up to the Civil War. Battle of states' rights, federal rights. It's the issue we're having now on so many levels when it comes to voting. States are saying, hey, we're not making it harder for people to vote. We're making it harder for people to cheat. We're just asking for, it's not that, everybody can get a driver's license or a photo ID. It's just simply not that difficult. And people all across the country, regardless, well, I shouldn't say regardless of political affiliation, but people will tell you that it's just not, there's nothing that you will find unpleasant here. Nothing. But it's the idea, it's voting rights. It sounds good. There are voting rights. And some of the smartest, most insightful people I know will tell you till the cows come home, man. This is just, it's nonsensical BS. And the idea, think about this, what they are trying to do to undo what states have done. They've spent all this time and energy when there could really, and it's not necessary. It's really not. And I know progressives will say, but it's necessary because there's barricades to both. Simply not true. As a matter of fact, Senator Tim Scott, lone black conservative Republican in the Senate, he was coming out with videos on Martin Luther King Day yesterday. He says because what Joe Biden did. And by the way, Tim Scott, he's about voting rights. We have the right to vote. We have some things to do in order to vote. Yeah, we don't want to go and allow people, because it would open itself up to so many problems. Say, hey, you can register to vote and then vote minutes afterward. That's not how it works, man. It's just it's insane that they would think this is something. But you know what? They've got enough people riled up that go home and they watch NBC News for 2 or 3 minutes on one of the big three on main TV, and then they might go and even catch something on CNN or MSNBC. Oh my God, black people don't have voting rights. Well, I'm in favor of this, because they saw 2 minutes of the news and they don't do research. I'm not saying it's everybody. I'm saying people that do not educate themselves, people that fall for, and these are examples. These are real examples how people fall for this stuff. Well, I saw it on the TV. Maxine Waters was saying black people don't have voting rights. How come they should have voting rights. Oh, and they're misinformed and misguided, and it's based on falsehoods from a lot of really these national news outlets. And we see some of this stuff happen locally, too. You know, I love to monitor what these local news outlets are doing. And we know one of the things happening here in town tonight. City Council is going to meet tonight. They did not meet last night, obviously, because of the Martin Luther King holiday. Some of the things they're going to be talking about tonight. These people that work in the solid waste department within the city. It's some of the conditions that they have to work under. It's horrible. And then here's what happens. So there's turnover and there's training. There's all this stuff. And we're paying for all that. And then the whole separate. I have never lived. Andy, let me ask you something. Have you ever, anywhere in your life, lived in a place where trash, whether it's roll carts or the city logo on trash bags or employees from the solid waste department, have you ever lived anywhere in your entire life where trash and I love Columbia. I do. I really do. I want to be its biggest cheerleader. I want to do what I can to help. I love the city of Columbia. A lot of things I don't like. I don't like the politics. I don't like our streets are too trashy. It's horrible. But have you ever lived anywhere where trash is such a big issue?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Never have. No.
It's insane. And we have people that come into town, and Hannah's got my back on this. People are going, trash? Why are you talking about roll carts on your show this morning? Because it's one of the, it's the
How much time you got?
Exactly. But people come here all the time. Why are you talking about trash bags on the show and roll carts? Because it's what people care about.
I always remind folks that last year there was a rally at City Hall for roll carts, and they just had bags of trash everywhere. That was part of the point
Trash
that they
rally.
were trying to prove, yeah.
Right. There was a rally at City Hall, and people showed up with signs, and news outlets showed up.
And there was trash in the streets. Yeah.
That's what it's like here. One of the things that City Council is going to be talking about tonight, also, there's a group that's going to go and make a presentation. They want mask mandates back. No, we saw what it did to businesses. It's just a group that's going to make a presentation. City of Columbia is not. I want to be clear, because somebody's going to mishear. City council, mask mandates. Somebody is making a presentation, but I don't believe the city council in Columbia that's something they are not considering. By the way, I saw Matt Pitzer, 5th Ward City Councilman, recently. You know where I saw him? The gym.
Was that just an excuse to wiggle in that you went to the gym?
Yep. 874.
Cool story.
Even Cousin Andy's laughing. By the way, text.
I think he's laughing at you.
Me.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification, Andy. I was told yesterday, hey, we're excited that Andy's here while Brian is out. Andy's one of the most talented pinch hitters in the business that I know. And so he's been here for the past few days. But we were referring to him as, because it's the Wake Up Columbia family. You know, you're listening, you're a member of the family. If you've given us a like on Facebook, you're a member of the family. If you're watching on YouTube, hello, and you're a member of the family. And So Andy's a family member, but he's that cousin that comes in once in a while. Well, I was told yesterday, did I hear correctly that you referred to the news director, the assistant news director of the entire Zimmer radio network as Cousin Andy? And I said, yeah.
Is that why our boss was standing outside the door at 9:01?
I think so. And I said, yeah, it's Cousin Andy. And, well, a news director, assistant news director handling news, and he's doing stories about this Sorrells Road overpass, and there could be closures on I-70, and there's these kids and mask mandates. He's talking about some important stuff, perhaps not appropriate to refer to our assistant news director as Cousin Andy.
I like it better than Crazy Uncle Andy.
874-9390. John, what can we do for you this morning?
Well, you were talking about the Democrats and how they're trying to bring this bill up for voting rights and how they're actually really trying to deceive the people. They have a uncanny knack for using words that make sense and sound good while they're putting a knife in your back or cutting your throat. And they've been doing it for 60, 70 years or more, probably closer to 100 years. And I just don't understand why people can't look through the smoke screen and say, these people are... The history shows that they're not being honest. They're being deceitful about everything and actually look into stuff. I don't know why anybody would think that Columbia's, rolling along good and doing good things with the government when all you need to do is get rid of the trash, hire it out privately. They'll save money. They'll have people do it. And, even if they put the roll carts in, that's fine. But then they got to buy all these trucks. Quit making the people suffer. It's all Democratic rule and leading. That's all it is.
And those, when
why would anybody support a Democrat for anything?
And that's the part that's scary. As a matter of fact, and I'll tell you this, and I'm going to let you go here, John. Thank you so much for the phone call. We saw what happened 4 years ago, 3 years, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Cable pundits, for example. Not only were they criticizing Trump, but they started criticizing people like me that voted for Trump. And we voted for Trump because we knew he had to take America in a different direction. And you could talk about the mean tweets and all the foul language. Okay, well, Biden's restored dignity to the office of the president of the United States. Some people might try to make a case for that. But what Joe has done for America right now is doing 2, I shouldn't say 4, but 2. And the idea that, everybody, we let people just pour into the country and then we give them all these benefits. And this idea that everybody should get free education, those are all incredible ideas, man. I always joke, if I'd run for mayor of Columbia, my platform is going to be every citizen in Columbia gets $1,000 every year. It's a great idea, right?
I thought it was no more gender reveal parties.
Oh, yeah. I got a lot of issues with these.
We're gonna talk selfies.
Whack-a-mole. Salter has been doing it, playing whack-a-mole with the weather and helping folks. Hey, we're getting snow and 25 today. All right, we can help. Hey, sunny, 52 today. Any chance you can come and clean the leaves out of my gutter? Or, hey, while you're here, can you trim the trees, do some of our bushes and stuff like that? Yeah, of course we can. One call does it all. Like if you have property, maybe you rent out properties to other people and you don't want to deal with any of the lawn care or the landscaping. The landscaping. Let's talk about that. You want to beautify your home, add value. Landscaping from Salter Lawn Service. Salter, one call does it all.
93.9 The Eagle presents Wake Up Columbia with this dude over here.
I don't know what the hell I'm doing up in here.
Whatever. 93.9 The Eagle.
Requires the most elusive of all things in a democracy. Unity.
Yeah, remember that from a year ago? We know now he lied. And not just in offhand comments he's made over the past year, but that speech last week, I'll tell you what, CNN yesterday, here's what I was trying to get to in the last segment, but I saw a squirrel and ran with it. We were talking about how people would criticize Trump supporters. Instead of criticizing Trump, cable news outlets really turned when Trump was president. They turned evil and started attacking people like me and you who supported Trump as president. It wasn't about Trump. It was about us misfits and deplorables, and they went after us. I'll tell you how bad it is for the progressives right now and a lot of the Democrat Party. CNN yesterday, they had a well-known political consultant saying, you know the problem? Yeah, it's Joe. But really, the bigger problem are people who share that same mindset. People like we see here in Columbia that are running things. As everybody should have everything, and it's all beautiful. And perceiving and creating problems that are not there, and then packaging it as something. Oh, voting rights, for example, voting rights. And he's talking about, okay, so the Joe, yeah, he's the fault. But on CNN, they're now criticizing. They're eating their own. 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:29.
Time for What's Hot with Hannah.
It's really nice of you to give me all of 40 seconds.
We'll come back
to do my segment.
I know.
That's
I'm
really
sorry.
nice of you. I really appreciate it.
And I feel horrible. I'll tell you what. We'll do it at 7:30. Oh, we can't do it at 7:35 either. Andrea Lisenby, CPS board candidate, is going to be joining us. 8:10. Pinky swear?
Sure.
But you got to. I kind of fault you. You're the boss here. You didn't keep me on time, Hannah.
Yeah, right. Because that's worked out so well over the past 2 years.
Fox News is here at 7:31. Dems.
Crap.
Ain't in a mode of unity. Then Andy Humphrey is here. Parents in Jefferson City in Columbia, man, they're stressing all over this morning. He's got that story for you. And then Andrea Lisenby. I think we are starting the process of dismantling the Columbia Public School Board.
I'm Chris Foster. There are multiple reports that the man who took hostages at a synagogue in Texas Saturday had been investigated for terrorism in Great Britain, but was no longer considered a threat. Malik Faisal Akram was shot and killed by federal agents. He'd arrived in the U.S. December 29th.
During his rant caught on live stream, Akram demanded the release of Afia Siddiqui, known as Lady Al-Qaeda. She was convicted by a New York jury in 2010 of trying to kill American officers in Afghanistan. She's in federal prison in Fort Worth, about 20 miles from the synagogue.
Fox's Dan Springer. Top White House medical advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci says it's too soon to tell if the Omicron coronavirus variant will help end the pandemic.
Fauci calling it an open question. Some scientists have expressed optimism that Omicron's milder cases, especially among those vaccinated, may signal a shift that will make it akin soon to the seasonal flu.
Fox's Sue Guzman. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning news coverage with Andy Humphrey on Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners, 7:31. Robinson saves you time. Currently 34 degrees. Good morning, I'm Andy Humphrey. We're waiting to find out more details about a possible shooting in Northeast Columbia. ABC 17 reports officers were still investigating as of early this morning at a home on Irma Drive between Shamrock Drive and Lake of the Woods Road. It's not clear if anyone was hurt or arrested. Masking is now required again inside Columbia Public Schools buildings. The district's temporary mask requirement goes into effect today and runs through Friday, February 4th. There are 140 active student coronavirus cases and 48 staffers that are currently positive. CPS will not have in-person classes on Friday, as well as next Monday and Tuesday. Kids are back in masks in Jefferson City, too. A temporary mask requirement begins today for Jefferson City Public Schools, and Helias will start one tomorrow following a deep cleaning of the building today. Cole County Health's Chesney Schulte.
We're definitely seeing that the number of positive cases in the county is certainly increasing rapidly. Monday, for example, we've had 184 positive cases so far in the county.
Schulte adds that Cole County's 2 hospitals are seeing new COVID admissions every day. She says they're now tracking to see if the majority of those cases are the Omicron variant of the virus. Police have reopened an investigation into the July 2020 death of a 37-year-old Columbia man. CPD initially ruled Freddie McKee's death was a drug overdose. His mother, Doresia McKee, has questioned that ruling in the investigation. She filed a complaint with the police department, which initially refused to reopen the investigation. McKee then filed an appeal with the Citizens Police Review Board, which recommended the case be reopened. Police Chief Jeff Jones said in early December that he would assign a detective who was not involved in the original case to determine if more investigation is needed. A judge has denied bond for a Jefferson City man accused of a 2018 killing. The decision came last week in the case of Jajuan Worley. He is accused of several felonies, including first-degree murder. Prosecutors say Worley shot 33-year-old Justin Camrich and another 20-year-old victim outside an apartment building on West Atchison Street in December 2018. Camrich later died from his injuries. Worley was 16 at the time of the shooting, but is being tried as an adult. He will go on trial in March. MoDOT says the new Sorrells overpass is under construction now. ABC 17 reports the agency began work on the I-70 overpass just west of Columbia yesterday. Crews had to demolish the old overpass after a truck crashed into it in October. The driver, a 51-year-old Boonville man, suffered serious injuries. Construction of the overpass should wrap up in late May. The project is estimated to cost about $1 million. 93.9 The Eagle News with Willett Dental Associates. 4 out of 10 people are scared of the dentist, but Willett Dental Associates practices conscious sedation dentistry to relax those fears. Make an appointment now at 573-445-5300 or WillettDentalAssociates.com. It's 7:34. Asia Blackwell had 27 points and 13 rebounds, but Mizzou women's hoops fell against number 13 Georgia last night, 72-62. It's Mizzou's first loss at home this season. The Tigers are now 13-5 overall and 2-3 in conference play. Next up is a road matchup against Vanderbilt on Thursday. Mizzou men's basketball will try to shake off back-to-back losses as they travel to face Ole Miss tonight. The Tigers are just 1-3 to start SEC play so far. Tip-off in Oxford is set for 6 p.m. Catch the game on 96.7 KCMQ. Many in the Mizzou baseball community are mourning the loss of Brian DeLunas. The St. Louis native passed away from kidney disease over the weekend. DeLunas was hired to be the Tigers' pitching coach last summer. He was a volunteer assistant for Mizzou between 2007 and 2009, then spent 4 seasons coaching for several Major League Baseball teams. DeLunas was 46 years old. Mizzou baseball starts its season next month. The Blues retired Chris Pronger's jersey number 44 last night at Enterprise Center. They also came back to defeat the Predators 5-3 thanks to 2-goal performances from both Braden Shen and Ivan Barbashev. St. Louis plays at Seattle on Friday. It's 7:35.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. So far, still no reports of wrecks. You can report a wreck if you want. 874-9390 with a call or a text if you see one. Again, 573-874-9390. Do be careful. Could be some construction along the Sorrells overpass, or the old Sorrells overpass just west of Columbia on I-70. Could be some construction crews out there. So if you're driving either direction, please be careful and be mindful of their work. 874-9390 to call or text us. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Andy Humphrey, 93.9 The Eagle.
And I noticed again as a nurse how serious you are about not passing on infections. I'm glad you welcomed these kids tonight, and I'm glad you gave them personal touch and encouragement for what they have done, and yet you passed on every germ, handshaking one to another, another one following you right behind. Not all of you did that. I was looking. Thank you for...
All right, that's who we call Grandma Bonnie. She spoke at a recent Columbia Public School Board meeting. I think this was in December. And is what she did there in one fell swoop in a matter of 23.8 seconds, completely dismantled, undid the BS. Well, you need to wear a mask. You need to do this. Got to stop the spread. At that same meeting where they spent a lot of time talking about this and where, incidentally, the school board voted to do away with the mask mandate, to which then a bunch of high school kids forming a union. That's not factual. That's just my opinion. They formed a union, started walking out of school. But they didn't want to distract classes.
But they did it peacefully and respectfully.
They disrupted school. We didn't have a superintendent, apparently, who has enough whatever to say, hey, this is what you need to do. You're not in charge here. You're not the adults in this situation. And then you had local liberal media outlets picking up on it and going and filming them. But is what this grandma did there. She, at the very meeting, they were talking about, because we're spreading germs and all this stuff. This board meeting where the school board, these people elected to hold those positions prior to them having this big meeting about doing away with the mask, which the CDC, and I love the statement from the CDC, well, and it wasn't just the masks aren't very effective. The statement, the CDC, what they said in their statement is what people pretty much knew anyway. The majority of the masks that are used, they just don't do it. Centers from Disease Control. And they even acquiesce saying, well, what people already know. And this happened just recently. But in this school board meetings, what happens when they talk about, we're going to do it with a mandate. We want to keep people safe. These students, God bless these students, were getting some nice kudos. It was phenomenal that they were being recognized. And there was a gym teacher, forgive me, he was just recognized, I think, on a statewide level. It's a gym teacher in Columbia Public School District. So I want to give kudos to him. It's not all bad. So these students go up and they shake the hands of the board members and all that stuff, passing on every single germ as they... So the point of that is these people that are trying to tell you and force you what to do, they don't believe in it themselves. That's the big thing. They don't believe what they are telling you. Damn it, be honest. And they're not. And it's not just school boards. It's people of that progressive mindset. Let's change it starting right now. Andrea Lisenby, running for school board, Columbia Public School District. She is in the medical field, mom of 3, has a husband. Andrea, welcome into the show. Let me ask you this first.
Good morning.
Good morning. What is it that made you decide you want to run?
Well, I'm running because I think we can do better. We can give our kids a better education. We can support our teachers and staff better. And we can do a much better job listening to parents in the community. Okay, and
let me ask you how, and here's what, I don't mean to interrupt, Andrea, I apologize. There's 40,000, roughly, last I heard, a year ago, former superintendent who I respected very much, Dr. Pete Stiepelman, did a lot of good things. And he was, at moment's notice, willing to communicate with media here in Columbia. I respected the guy on so many levels. Last year, had 40,000 parents in the Columbia Public School District. So let's pretend every single parent, 40,000 of those parents, let's say 20,000 kids are listening to 93.9 The Eagle right now. These parents, okay, we got to communicate better. And by the way, my experience, that is the top of my list because the communication that comes out of them, it's poor, and I've called them on it. And they say, well, quit attacking us. Facts are not attacks. They're not attacks, and that's that mindset. How? We need to communicate better. How?
The first thing I think we need to do is implement parent advisory committees. They're being done in school boards all across the country. And if you implement them well, they can be super effective. And it's a great way to get a lot of voices consolidated and presented to the school board in a very useful format.
Okay. Andrea Lisenby, your kids go to are in the Columbia Public School District?
Yes, that's correct. I've got a 6th grader and a 4th grader at CPS, and I have a kindergartner at private school this year.
All right. And how come your kindergartner's in private school?
Well, he has a speech delay, and he's been in speech therapy for about 4 or 5 years. We talked with pediatricians, speech pathologists, and they all said if he's wearing a mask, his peers are wearing masks, and his teacher's wearing a mask, his development will not progress.
Let me ask you this. I feel like I'm pussyfooting around, Andrea. 40,000 parents. I guess basically, here's what I'm getting at. Are you conservative? I'm just going to be honest and just, are you conservative? Because there's a conservative voice, obviously. We know this here at the Eagle. There's a conservative voice. We are in the minority here where we live. Are you conservative?
I do vote conservatively. I like to stick to the facts, though, and I like to make decisions based on facts.
Mask mandate. After you'd researched all your facts, how would you have voted whenever they brought up mask mandates? Would you have voted in favor of or against?
Well, when they brought it up at the last meeting, we had information that cloth masks just are not effective. And so based on the pediatricians and other specialists I've talked to, the risk of wearing a mask outweighs the benefit of child development, and so I would have voted no.
Yeah, there are numerous stories this morning. I would cite a source, but they're easy to find because there's more and more evidence now saying, hey, as a matter of fact, New York Magazine is saying, hey, listen, progressives, you got to admit it's okay to say you're wrong once in a while.
Right.
Hey, we messed up. We got it wrong. Yeah. As a matter of fact, Della's, and I apologize, I know I'm going to get her name wrong here. Della Streety Wilhoit. This was a year and a half ago. She said in a public school, and I sent her an email message and said, I got to tell you, I absolutely respect and admire what you did. And I admired what she did, not because she agreed with people like us, Andrea, but she said in a meeting, listen, I've evolved on this, and here's why. So what else? What are some other things? If you're elected school board member, what else are some of your priorities? What do you want to do as a mom of 3 kids, as a mom of a kid who's not going to Columbia Public Schools anymore because it's not going to be beneficial to his needs? What else would you want to do if you're elected?
We definitely need to bring back the parent-teacher relationship. Even prior to the pandemic, our parents were being shut out of the schools. And studies overwhelmingly show that the child thrives when the parents and teachers work together.
That's something, and I'm glad you highlighted that because so many people parents say there's lack of communication because, they're not getting the answers they want on COVID. That's BS, too. The history is when it had to do with kids with disabilities, when it had to do with kids wanting, parents wanting to record meetings. There's a lot of other things even prior to this, and the people who are hired for communications in the Columbia Public School District that just could absolutely do a better job, and they can make it simple. Here's the other thing, and this, as a matter of fact, we've had other people in the communications field look at press releases from the Columbia Public School Board and say, yeah, the language they're trying to twist people up is what they're doing. And you got to quit doing that when you're talking with parents. Make it easy for us. Don't show us how smart and acerbic you are. Help the parents. Do you find that's been some of your experience?
It has. And you brought up the special education department. And, our 4th grader, it does have pretty significant special needs. And that was our firsthand experience. There is such a disconnect between the people in the administrative office at the Aslan building and parents, a disconnect with the principals and teachers and all the staff at the schools. I mean, the more you talk to teachers, the more you realize that it's just a complete disconnect.
And Andrea Lisenby, running for Columbia Public School Board, and right now in chatting with her for 5 minutes here, I would say this is one of the people that you'd vote for. And you talk about, and let me give a real-life example of the disconnect in communications. I've had several disconnects that I've had to prove, no, what you're telling me is not wrong. Here is the proof. And that has to do with personal dealings, but also there was an issue when the kids went back to school back in August, September. We had parents saying, hey, national anthems, or the Pledge Pledge of Allegiance isn't being offered. It's not being offered. And I'm told by a school official it is. I'm like, no, look, here's an email from somebody that works in the school that's saying it is not. They're acknowledging it's not being offered. My goodness. So you are absolutely correct on the disconnect. Andrea, Lisenby, anything else you want to say before we let you go?
Yeah, I just, I think that we've gotten to a place where there's, you brought up politics. There are too many politics impacting the major decisions at our school.
Yep.
And there's just never a time, liberal or conservative, where politics should be welcome in the classroom.
And to your point, as a matter of fact, we have somebody coming. I think they're going to be on the show tomorrow. This on the heels of a story from Business Insider. And I'll just read the headline. People who study the origins of civil wars see indicators the U.S. is on the brink of conflict. Now, I'm saying that's not a scare tactic or anything like that. And we have somebody on the show talking about this tomorrow. But to your point regarding politics, whether it's national, state, and we're seeing it everywhere, I agree. We got to back off without acquiescing on our principles. We got to do that. Andrea, Lisenby, anything we can do for you here on the show, let us know.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you again.
All right, thank you. And we do have the other candidates. They are going to be coming on here in the next few days, so you'll be able to hear from everybody. Watch on the show this morning. Did we get banned from Facebook?
No, we did not.
Did Joe, have they knocked him off Twitter for lies he's been telling on Twitter? Is he still on Twitter?
I believe he is, yes.
All right, just checking. So this morning, no video feed on Facebook, but you can find us on YouTube. You search 93.9 The Eagle. Coming up, so I don't know if to this point there's polling regarding Democrats and would they date a Republican? Would a Republican date a Democrat? Maybe we'll bypass that for right now. Here's a woman. She's raking it in, man, by making $50 here and there and on an occasion. And what is she doing? She's brilliant. You might call it underhanded, but it's brilliant. That's coming up 7:50.
Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. Inspired and on fire. 93.9 The Eagle.
I've started telling everyone about the benefits of eating dried grapes. Yeah, it's all about, come on, it's all about raising awareness.
That's good. That's a good one.
And needed right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a dad joke. And I figure with more than potentially 40,000 parents listening right now following our conversation with Andrea Lisenby, who's running for Columbia Public School Board, I figured parents would get a kick out of that right now as we approach 8 o'clock. Fox News is here at 8. Oh, those progressives, cute Democrats in Washington, D.C. are going to try again and do, the filibuster so they can cram through voting rights. So cute. Fox will be on that. And also, Fox has this story. First time this has ever happened in the National Football League. Then Andy Humphrey is, did I say 7 o'clock? It's coming up at 8 o'clock. 8:03, Andy
Maybe.
Humphrey. It's possible. I've gotten it wrong before. I got the time wrong. That's how bad it is.
Well, I was saying it might happen at 8:03. Just the way that your schedule runs.
Andy Humphrey then is here at 8:03. There's going to be some work on the Swirls Bridge overpass this week on I-70, so that's going to get in your way potentially here during the day. There's Hannah, the producer. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Branden Rathert. Coming up, so we've got a bunch of texts on a bunch of issues this morning. Somebody talking about the students that walked out, and apparently the Columbia Public School Board bent over. Oh, my God, the kids are going to walk out. They don't want to disrupt school, but they're going to walk out. So we will acquiesce. Somebody says, man, which union, think about this. Some of those students at the school board or the school officials allowed to act as a union. We're walking out till we get our way. And then we're going to keep doing it. And we're going to interrupt stuff at school. And we're going to call in the news outlets. And kids are going to get in front of the cameras. We're going to do all that stuff. So that's like a union. Until they get what they want. They got what they wanted. So which union right now has more power? The teachers' union or the kids' union here in the school? Also, interesting question for Hannah. And I have never considered this. When you heard this guy's question from about an hour and a half ago, he wanted to know about about where you came from. Has anybody ever asked you this before?
Not in this context. Not wanting to know where I was for this reason.
And it struck me as odd. And then if we can, I want to play a game. Hannah, and be careful because I'm thinking women right now, not you get it. But a lot of folks are going to say, are they really doing that on that conservative radio station in Columbia? Here, I'm a new parent. I'm a Democrat, and I thought I'd listen to Andrea Lisenby because I try to, listen to all things. And they're going to do a segment called Who's the Hottest Member of Wake Up Columbia? I can imagine a new parent tuning in for the very first time on 93.9. Are they really going to do a segment called Who's Hottest? I'm triggered by that. By George, I'm calling station management. I'm going to complain about that guy. 875-1099. 875-1099. It's the office line. And that's where you can, or you could call me and complain, and we could start there, seriously. All right? We're going to do Who's the Hottest Member of Wake Up Columbia at 8:10. Don't miss it.
Democrats aren't giving up on election reform. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
What they want to do is just basically have the federal government take over all elections in the United States.
Republican Congressman Byron Donalds and all GOP senators oppose it. Fox's Jared Halpern has more live.
A debate will begin for the 5th time in the Senate on Democrats' long-sought and stalled voting and elections bills. President Biden again urging passage in his Martin Luther King Day remarks.
The question being asked again, where do we stand? Whose side are we on?
But ending that debate later this week will require 60 votes, and a Republican filibuster is expected, with Democrats unlikely to overcome it without a change in filibuster rules. That is a step Democrats Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema reiterated last week they will not support. Dave.
Jared, after U.S., NATO, and Russia talks last week failed to de-escalate the situation in Ukraine, Secretary of State Antony Blinken will go to Ukraine and meet with that country's president tomorrow amid fears of a Russian invasion. Republican Congresswoman Victoria Spartz, born in Ukraine when it was part of the Soviet Union, tells Fox this administration has made things worse.
And has very unwise, I would say, and unrealistic energy policies that embolden now Russia.
There's a new government watchdog report 5 months after the Taliban took control of Afghanistan while U.S. troops were withdrawing. At the time, President Biden said no one expected the Afghan military would fall so fast.
That report by the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction predicted the Afghan Air Force would collapse, and it was submitted to the Defense Department in January of last year, about 7 months ahead of the U.S. troop withdrawal.
Fox's Jill Nato. Some Virginia school districts plan to defy new Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin's order undoing mask mandates for kids in class. New GOP Attorney General Jason Miyares tells Fox.
Parents know what's best for their children. That's a lot of what this is about, parental empowerment. If we have to take it to court, we will.
America's listening to Fox News.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like you're going 100 miles an hour, barely keeping up. But to cruise through challenges, you need someone who's right there with you. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the Windows PCs and tech advice you need to get past whatever's in front of you and get where you want to go. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
Ever have questions about your prescriptions, even in the middle of the night? Well, Walgreens now offers Pharmacy Chat 24/7, so you can ask an expert about things like the correct dosage of your medications or possible side effects. Speaking of side effects, the side effect of getting your questions answered at 2 a.m.? Sleeping much easier for the next 6 hours. Try Pharmacy Chat today or tonight, online or on the Walgreens app.
And now award-winning news coverage with Andy Humphrey on Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners, 8:03. Robinson saves you time. Currently 35 degrees. We should be mostly sunny today with a high of 52. Good morning. I'm Andy Humphrey. Police are investigating a possible shooting in Northeast Columbia. ABC 17 reports officers were called to a home on Irma Drive between Shamrock Drive and Lake of the Woods Road late last night. Investigators were still searching through the home as of early this morning. No word on any injuries or arrests yet. Starting today, Columbia Public Schools will require everyone to wear a mask indoors. The district announced last week that they will keep the temporary requirements until February 4th. CPS will also not hold classes this Friday and the following Monday and Tuesday. Currently, the district has 140 positive coronavirus cases among students and 48 cases among staff. Cole County hospitals are admitting new COVID-19 patients every day. The Cole County Health Department's Chesney Schulte says they're working with the hospitals to determine which COVID variant is showing up.
Beginning to mid-December, where maybe that could have been Delta, now do we see that the variant in the community and the people testing positive, if they have Omicron, do as many of those people end up hospitalized?
Schulte adds the overall confirmed cases are rising as well in Cole County. She says they've seen close to 200 new cases some days. Jefferson City Public Schools is starting a temporary mask requirement today. Helias will do the same tomorrow. An investigation into a 37-year-old Columbia man's death is back open. Police Chief Jeff Jones wrote a letter last month saying that a detective not originally involved in the case of Freddie McKee's death will look into it again. The police department has ruled ruled that McKee's death in July of 2020 was from a drug overdose. McKee's mother, Doresia, filed a complaint with the department to reopen the case, but they refused. The Citizens Police Review Board later ruled in favor of McKee and recommended that the case be reopened. The Jefferson City man accused of a 2018 murder was back in court last week. A judge denied bond for Jaquan Worley and also denied a request to have one of his felony charges thrown out. Worley was 16 years old when he allegedly shot Justin Camerich and another victim on West Atchison Street in December 2018. The 33-year-old Camerich later died from his injuries. Worley has been charged with first-degree murder and more. His trial will begin in March. Watch for occasional lane closures on I-70 just west of Columbia as crews work on building the new Sorrells overpass. ABC 17 reports MoDOT began construction yesterday. A 51-year-old Boonville man was seriously hurt after a truck crashed into the old overpass in October. That forced MoDOT to demolish the old bridge earlier than anticipated. Construction of the new overpass should cost around $1 million. They expect it to be done by the end of May. 93.9 The Eagle News with MU Healthcare. Join us for the Children's Miracles for Kids Radiothon, February 24th and 25th. Give now at muhealth.org/radiothon. It's 8:06. Mizzou women's basketball lost for the first time at home this season in a 72-62 defeat against number 13 Georgia last night. Asia Blackwell had another double-double with 27 points and 13 rebounds for the Tigers. Mizzou falls to 13-5 overall and 2-3 in SEC play. They will head out on the road Thursday for a meeting against Vanderbilt. It's a road game tonight for Mizzou men's hoops as they visit Ole Miss. The Tigers have dropped back-to-back games against Arkansas and Texas A&M in the last week. Mizzou and Ole Miss will tip off at 6 p.m. tonight on 96.7 KCMQ. Sad news for Mizzou baseball. The team announced yesterday that pitching coach Brian DeLunas died over the weekend after a battle with kidney disease. The St. Louis native was hired back to Mizzou last summer. He had served as a volunteer assistant for the Tigers between 2007 and 2009. He also coached for the Mariners and Mets in the major leagues. DeLunas was 46 years old. Braden Shen and Ivan Barbashev both had 2 goals and 2 assists as the Blues topped the Predators 5-3 last night at Enterprise Center. Before the game, the Blues retired former captain Chris Pronger's number 44 jersey. St. Louis will be at Seattle on Friday. Sports with Woods Basement Systems, the highest rated, most reviewed contractor for all things basementing. Call 800-388-9326 for a free estimate. It's 8:07. Right now, 35 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
With MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. Not seeing any major backups on any Mid-Missouri roads so far. No reports of wrecks yet. Do be careful. They're working on the Sorrells overpass, building that new bridge just west of I-70. Or just west of Columbia, I should say, on I-70. So just be careful of that for those construction crews while they're working today. 874-9390. Call or text us if you see traffic. 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Andy Humphrey, 93.9 The Eagle.
Did you get the vaccine? No. Why didn't you get it? What if you catch COVID? The vaccine doesn't stop you from catching COVID. Why are you being so selfish? What if you catch it and give it to me? But you've been vaccinated. Yeah, but you can still give it to me. What's the vaccine for then? It'll stop you from getting really sick and dying if you catch it. So if I catch it and give it to you, but you've already had the vaccine, it'll still stop you from getting really sick and dying. Exactly. That's why you should get it. That's why I should get it, but you got it already. Yeah. But if you catch it, you could get sick and die. So by not getting the vaccine, the only person I'm putting at risk is myself of getting sick and dying? No, you're putting me at risk. And you already get the vaccine, so you won't get sick and die, even if I gave it to you. But you could give it to someone who can't be vaccinated. But so could someone who's been vaccinated because the vaccine doesn't stop you from getting COVID.
Yeah. Simply profound. We are getting a lot of texts this morning. First one, let me start with the first one. Somebody wants to know where Hannah is from, and here's why. I've heard a lot of things about Hannah, and it's all good.
Most of it, maybe?
No, it's all good. The only negative things are just my own opinions that I have formed. It's not what other people have said. It's just what I have learned in the years that I've known you. But somebody asked a very odd question via text at 874-9390 that I'd never thought of, and I've never considered this. But I could understand why this gentleman would ask the question.
You can?
I can understand why he would ask.
Huh.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. He wants to know, he says, where's Hannah from? Is she from down south? I detect a little southern accent.
About 30 minutes north of Columbia.
She's from Centralia. Born and raised. Still lives here in mid-Missouri. So I don't ever... But here's what I think it's because it is obviously your sweet demeanor, but you're also...
sarcastic?
Yeah. But people can hear it just in the way. So I could understand when somebody hears you talk that they would ask the question, not say, oh, she must be Southern. Listen, when I went to school in Cape Girardeau, I was down there for all of December. The entire semester, not just all. I checked in about December. And
sounds about right.
Screw you. I'm 18. I know everything now.
You're never on time, so.
So I came home for the first time like at Christmas break. And some of my friends that I hadn't seen since I'd left for college in August that I was hanging out with, they're like, dude, you got a Southern accent. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm like, yeah, you do.
No, y'all do.
I'm like, I ain't been talking like that. Sure enough, just even being in Missouri is weird, especially if you hang out in the southern part of Missouri. You get a weird mix. Is it southern? Is it what? But from just being around people from Cape Girardeau, Missouri for so long, I affected just a tinge of a southern accent. So to answer your question, no. The other big question that Andy and Hannah and myself have been getting, I don't know if that's good English.
I'm not the right one to ask.
Andy?
I've gotten yelled at twice on Facebook this week.
And we got to cover that, too. Anyhow, the one of the other hot questions we are getting via text, and if I don't respond to the text this morning, it's because we're shorthanded. Hauswirth and Stephanie Bell aren't here. And
you miss Stephanie.
I miss Stephanie. I miss Brian. Really cool to see Cousin Andy hanging out with us here on the show.
You're going to get in trouble again.
I said, hey, assistant news director of the entire Zimmer Radio Network, does a lot of work with Mizzou sports. You're referring to this guy who's delivering news about possible lane closures on I-70.
Who's that guy? He didn't sound very fun.
Boring.
You're referring to the assistant news director of the all-encompassing Zimmer Radio Network, and you're referring to him as Cousin Andy? Yeah, you're right. Maybe I shouldn't refer to him as... But he's a family member, but he's not a family... He's the family member that comes and visits once in a while. Like that family when they need something. That one,
I think we needed Andy this time.
We needed Andy more than he needed us, I'll tell you that. And thank you. God bless you. You do incredible work, and I mean that because it's a weird schedule you have. Anyhow, people have been asking where to get tests. And I'll do this, and they don't... it's not... a client here on 93.9. It's not a commercial. It's important for me to say it because it's a new place. It's a new concept in pharmacies, and it is local. It's local. Local people have invested in this. I went and I bought 4 tests yesterday. Not that I care that I have it or not, but if I'm in a situation where, hey, you should probably test, I can at least test myself and whatever. Well, let me tell you this. By experience, I should have read the directions. I assumed it was the Chinese COVID test.
Did you get one of those rectal tests?
I thought it was. It's not.
Oh, so you were disappointed. disappointed that you didn't get the butt swab.
And I paid extra for it even.
You were saying?
People are wanting to know where to get these tests. Next RX Pharmacy.
And they're the ones that go in your nose.
The test, not Next RX Pharmacy. The test. It's
Yes,
the nose.
the tests that are at Next RX.
It's the nose swab. It's the antigen home test, 10 minutes until your results. And this is a local place. Yesterday, I went there and I got 4 tests and got some pregnancy tests, by the way, Hannah. And
why? Do I even want to know?
Oh, they're not for me.
Who are they for?
I got the COVID test for me. And the pregnancy tests. Yeah, I got for another member of the show.
Stephanie?
So anyhow, the COVID-19, they have, yesterday, I think they'd received 900 total tests. I think 400 boxes or 450 bucks.
This segment is going
Should we
great.
just move forward from here? Because I want to do, before we totally go off the rails and do who's the hottest member of Wake Up Columbia. Yeah, we're going to do that. We figured we got a bunch, 40,000 parents in the Columbia Public School District last I heard. And I know a lot of them listening because they wanted to hear one of the folks running for school board because there's an incredible distaste for this really inept school board that was elected. So she was on the show, so we had 40,000 parents. There's probably some parents that typically don't listen to 93.9 The Eagle. I'm thinking there were people that are on a different side of the political spectrum, and they're listening for the first time ever to Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle. And they hear us. We're going to do the Who's the Hottest Member of Wake Up Columbia. Yep, we are. By the way, Jack's into this. He wants to know, would this be all Wake Up Columbia members? Family members past and present. Interesting question.
It's a good question.
He's Justin, thanks for the tip on the test. I was lucky wife's work had them. So it's Next RX, and they're like at 63 in Grindstone or New Haven or Nifong, whatever we call it up. So like if you're heading south on 63, you exit at that New Haven exit. And you've got the gas station there on your right, and just past that, you go back into those business plazas. I think even Veterans United Home Loans has some campuses back up in there. But it's Next RX. It'll be right there on the right. Now, as of yesterday afternoon, 3 o'clock yesterday, I think, they had 450 boxes, which have 2 tests apiece. So that was yesterday. I'm guessing they still have some. Next RX. That is a look. And while you're there, ask them about this concept that they do with prescriptions. It's really interesting, really. And it's local people. They have the test. Welcome to the show. So Andy Humphrey, Hannah the producer. I am Branden Rathert. Do we have anything at 8:35? Because guess what?
You rambled for too long, and now we're out of time?
And I promised you that we would do What's Hot with Hannah at 8:10.
Oh, I'm used to that. Like that. It never happens when you say it's going to.
Can we wait till 8:35? Andy, are you on board with doing the hottest member of the Wake Up Columbia family?
Sure.
Oh, Andy's confident. Of course I want to do it because I will win.
He's going to go run his head under some warm water in the bathroom.
So who's the hottest member of the Wake Up Columbia family? Jack's getting into it. Past or present members? Interesting take. Welcome to the show. 874-9390. 874-9390. So in Jefferson City, they are back in session today. They're going to be talking about some things that will affect you, trying to make it difficult for constitutional amendments, and also the idea of trying to tighten up these the Freedom of Information Act, the FOIA request, Sunshine request. From what I know, I on the surface, I don't like this idea, and here's why. Number one, I just don't. Do I need to explain why? But I don't, especially because of what we've seen with parents, especially in the Columbia Public School District over the past couple of years. It shouldn't be made difficult. So that's one of the things that they are going to be covering. And then in Washington, D.C. today, they are still, They're still trying.
Into a rubber stamp of dictatorship.
Into the rubber stamp of dictatorship.
They will make this country into a banana republic.
They want to make this country into a banana republic.
If you don't get your way, you change the rules.
Where if you don't get your way, you change the rules.
It will be a doomsday for democracy if we do.
It'll be a doomsday for democracy if we do.
Tom Cotton, Republican senator from Arkansas, one of the most brilliant takedowns, one of the most brilliant polite takedowns of all time, because Schumer there, who's all about he wants to do away with the filibuster, right? Had a different take. He had the exact opposite take on it in 2005. So it's what Senator Tom Cotton did. He took Schumer's words from 2005 and used them against him. Simply brilliant. Can we do What's Hot with Hannah at 8:25? That's what they're covering in D.C., by the way, filibuster voting rights, because we don't have voting rights now. You want to do What's Hot with Hannah at 8:25?
If you'll allow it.
Seriously, so whenever we run late on What's Hot with Hannah or the Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell or the Morning, I do feel bad because those are your guys' things. Those are your babies. You're very passionate about What's Hot with Hannah, and we're very passionate about the Daily DC Rundown. And when I run late, I feel bad because that's where you guys shine. You guys shine throughout the entire show, but then you especially. I don't have a segment anywhere within the show where I get my own time like you guys do. I don't get it, but you do. Stephanie
Most
does.
of the show is your time.
Andy, do I have a dedicated segment here on the show like Hannah or Stephanie does? I don't. You know that.
But about 5 today.
The Doman of the Day is your thing.
We don't do it anymore. Because I wanted to give you guys more time. I like you. So we'll do What's Hot with Hannah at 8:25, 8:35. Be here. And
you're the worst. Oh, my gosh.
8:35, the hottest member. And we're willing to do this. Andy, you're willing to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Hannah, you're willing to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do it, too. The hottest member of the Wake Up Columbia family. And I know somebody, I can't believe they're going to do that. They're going to subjugate people to their looks and what they look like. We're going to do the Who's the Hottest Member of the Wake Up Columbia family. We'll do that coming up at 8:35 here on 93.9 The Eagle. What's Hot with Hannah?
We're going to talk about selfies still.
Good. So, you ever taken
Thanks for making Wake Up Columbia your favorite morning show. 93.9 The Eagle.
I think the problem for the Democrats right now is not that they have bad leaders. They have bad followers.
Ouch. And there's more context. This is going to hurt even a little bit more. We've opened up the wound. Now let's pour some salt in there. That's not somebody on Fox or any conservative news outlet like Newsmax saying, yeah, here's the problem with the Democrats. That is on CNN. That is Dem strategist Paul Begala saying, yeah, Joe's bad, but it's the people that voted for and that are following him on CNN. It's 7:25-ish, which means...
Are you serious?
It's 7:25-ish, which means...
It's 8:28.
Running a little behind on...
Understatement.
On What's Hot with Hannah. But a good one this morning.
Yes, you actually sent me this, so you were on top of things this morning.
I feel good. Like, if I bring an idea to Hannah and it gets chosen for What's Hot with Hannah, I'm not kidding. I'm like, huh.
And then you don't leave me any time to talk about it. So a woman in Canada, drove off the road when it was icy, ended up in the middle of a frozen river, and her car started to sink. Okay, that's not the weird part of the story. She climbs out, stands on top of her car, and there's pictures of her snapping a selfie as her car is just slowly sinking into this frozen river.
I love that.
I don't know if I should be impressed that she was calm enough to be maybe I should take a selfie of this while, everybody's trying to rescue her before her car gets fully submerged.
I'm going to get my life saved.
But first, let me take a selfie.
And I say this out of love and respect because she knows it. We have a local mayor who is a selfie queen. And I got excited. A couple of weeks ago, we were hanging out at the Columbia Regional Airport for the Beam signing. And she said, hey, let's take a selfie. And I was like, whoa, I got a selfie with the mayor of Jefferson City.
Our very own Stephanie Bell is our personal selfie queen.
Yeah, that's why you should watch on YouTube Live the number of times.
I like to bust her.
In the morning when she's here taking selfies. All right, coming up, Fox News is here. Dems are going to try again, filibuster, voting rights. That's cute. Keep going. Fox is on that here at 8:30, 8:31. Andy Humphrey is going to be joining us. Potential shutdowns on I-70 in the coming weeks as they work on that Sorrel Roads overpass. I have your ABC 17. Storm track forecast, sunshine, 52 today. So in honor of the hot weather today, coming up, be here, 8:35. Who is the hottest member of Wake Up Columbia? We'll do that for you.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. The Senate takes up voting rights legislation this afternoon.
Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the Senate will again consider today long-sought voting and election legislation despite no agreement from all 50 Democrats to break filibuster rules to pass it. Republicans are likely to again block the measure. GOP leaders say the legislation is unnecessary, hyper-partisan, and a federal takeover of state-run elections.
Fox's Jared Halpern. Airline bosses are warning there could be catastrophic service disruptions if new 5G phone service is allowed to be activated tomorrow. They're asking the Biden administration to step in.
The airlines want another delay. Carriers had paused the 5G activations until January 19th, while the FAA revised flight restrictions to protect aircraft from possible interference from new wireless signals.
Fox's Jenny Casola. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning news coverage with Andy Humphrey on Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners, 8:31. Robinson saves you time. Currently 37 degrees. Good morning, I'm Andy Humphrey. We're waiting to find out more details about a possible shooting in Northeast Columbia. ABC 17 reports officers were still investigating as of early this morning at a home on Irma Drive between Shamrock Drive and Lake of the Woods Road. It's not clear if anyone was hurt or arrested. Masking is now required again inside Columbia Public Schools buildings. The district's temporary mask requirement goes into effect today and runs through Friday, February February 4th. There are 140 active student coronavirus cases and 48 staffers that are currently positive. CPS will not have in-person classes on Friday, as well as next Monday and Tuesday. Kids are back in masks in Jefferson City, too. A temporary mask requirement begins today for Jefferson City public schools, and Elias will start one tomorrow following a deep cleaning of the building today. Cole County Health's Chesney Schulte.
We're definitely seeing that the number of positive cases in the county is certainly increasing rapidly. Monday, for example, we've had 184 positive cases so far in the county.
Schulte adds that Cole County's 2 hospitals are seeing new COVID admissions every day. She says they're now tracking to see if the majority of those cases are the Omicron variant of the virus. Police have reopened an investigation into the July 2020 death of a 37-year-old Columbia man. CPD initially ruled Freddie McKee's death was a drug overdose. His mother, Doresia McKee, has questioned that ruling and the investigation. She filed a complaint with the police department, which initially refused to reopen the investigation. McKee then filed an appeal with the Citizens Police Review Board, which recommended the case be reopened. Police Chief Jeff Jones said in early December that he would assign a detective who was not involved in the original case to determine if more investigation is needed. A judge has denied bond for a Jefferson City man accused of a 2018 killing. The decision came last week in the case of Jaquan Worley. He is accused of several felonies, including first-degree murder. Prosecutors say Worley shot 33-year-old Justin Camrich and another 20-year-old victim outside an apartment building on West Atchison Street in December 2018. Camrich later died from his injuries. Worley was 16 at the time of the shooting, but is being tried as an adult. He will go on trial in March. MoDOT says the new Sorrells overpass is under construction now. ABC 17 reports the agency began work on the I-70 overpass just west of Columbia yesterday. Crews had to demolish the old overpass after a truck crashed into it in October. The driver, a 51-year-old Boonville man, suffered serious injuries. Construction of the overpass should wrap up in late May. The project is estimated to cost about $1 million. 93.9 The Eagle News with Hemi Construction, with homes and lots in the southwest neighborhoods of Chapel Hill Meadows, Nursery Heights, and Creek's Edge. It's 8:34. Asia Blackwell had 27 points and 13 rebounds, but Mizzou women's hoops fell against number 13 Georgia last night, 72-62. It's Mizzou's first loss at home this season. The Tigers are now 13-5 overall and 2-3 in conference play. Next up is a road matchup against Vanderbilt on Thursday. Mizzou men's basketball will try to shake off back-to-back losses as they travel to face Ole Miss tonight. The Tigers are just 1-3 to start SEC play so far. Tip-off in Oxford is set for 6 p.m. Catch the game on 96.7 KCMQ. Many in the Mizzou baseball community are mourning the loss of Brian DeLunas. The St. Louis native passed away from kidney disease over the weekend. DeLunas was hired to be the Tigers' pitching coach last summer. He was a volunteer assistant for Mizzou between 2007 and 2009, then spent 4 seasons coaching for several Major League Baseball teams. DeLunas was 46 years old. Mizzou baseball starts its season next month. The Blues retired Chris Pronger's jersey number 44 last night at Enterprise Center. They also came back to defeat the Predators 5-3 thanks to 2-goal performances from both Braden Shen and Ivan Barbashev. St. Louis plays at Seattle on Friday. Sports with Betts Jewelers. For gifts that last a lifetime, visit Betts Jewelers in downtown Columbia. It's 8:35.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidbowHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidbowHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. No reports of wrecks so far. Good job, folks. Stay safe, though. Roads still could be a little bit slick from the winter weather this weekend. And also the Sorrells overpass, that is under construction now, so be careful of those construction crews. Either way on I-70, there could be occasional lane closures, but don't see any backup around there right now as we speak. But let us know if you see anything. 874-9390 with a call or a text. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Andy Humphrey, 93.9 The Eagle.
Positively boosted.
Positively boosted. All right. The triple vax Joint Chief Chairman Mark Milley.
Yesterday was talking about the Los Angeles Times. They've written a piece and they're, what's the overused cliche, doubling down on it. They've been poking fun, or not poking fun, but saying, hey, if you didn't get vaccinated and you die, you die. You didn't get vaccinated. That's their take. I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating. And then they're like, well, we meant, different. Some people can't get vaccinated for this, but still the point is, if you die, we're making fun of you. You know what? I'm vaccinated and all that, but I'd said up until I got vaccinated, if I die, that's fine. I'm willing to accept the consequences. If that were to happen, I'm willing to accept those consequences. But it's incredibly tasteless. And they doubled down on it. The Salt Lake City Tribune newspaper, they wrote they fully support that the National Guard go and make sure if you're not vaccinated, you stay in your homes. Here in the United States, a newspaper editorial board is saying not only should you stay in your homes if you're vaccinated, which is not vaccinated, the National Guard, an arm of our armed forces, should make sure that you stay there. You know what they're doing in China to Uyghurs right now? They're putting them in internment camps. Crazy. So that was Laura Ingraham on Fox last night clapping that General Mark Milley tested positive for COVID. That's the same thing. Same thing that we criticize those folks that we criticize the Los Angeles Times for making fun of people who don't get the vaccine and then die. She's doing the same thing, and it's not helpful either. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Columbia. Watch on YouTube. You go to our YouTube channel. There's Andy Humphrey.
Hey there.
He's in for Brian Hauswirth, Stephanie Bell. They both have the day off. There is Hannah, the producer.
What up?
My name is Branden Rathert. Most we've done, and we don't do it to be politically incorrect. We just do what comes natural, right? We say and think. I've never said anything for the sake of being outlandish, but I think what we're about to do next doesn't bother me any. Are you bothered by it, Andy? You're not offended?
No.
Hannah?
No.
Good. Because
I just hope we have time to get to it.
So here's what we're going to do. And I'll tell you, one of our listeners, Jack, he's into it because he's asking, past to present. We're playing right now. Who is the hottest member of Wake Up Columbia? One of our listeners, Jack, he's into it. He's like, like of all time or just in its current?
These are important questions to ask.
I love it. Hannah, can you set up the 3-shot over here and come over here so we can do this on the cameras for people watching on YouTube?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to do the hottest family member of Wake Up Columbia. This morning, I would have to say, obviously, it's Hannah. It ain't me. Andy, maybe more of a chance than me.
Yeah.
So that's who I'm going with right now. Hannah.
Is Hannah.
Yeah, that's my bet.
All right.
Right? Come in here and warm this place up. Does it sound creepy? All right. So, Hannah, if you're watching on YouTube, so you can see, maybe there's folks that have never seen very handsome Andy Humphrey. Ladies, back off. He's engaged. Hannah, the producer. Gentlemen, back off. She's eventually going to be engaged. That's Hannah, the producer, to my left.
Good morning.
My name is Branden Rathert. I'm chubby, bald, and 52 years old.
And been engaged twice.
No, I've been married. Yeah, that's true. That's a factual statement. Actually, I may have been engaged 3 times.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Married twice. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take temperatures and see who is the hottest member of the Wake Up Columbia family. I'm going to seriously, because I do the most work around here, I bet I'm hottest right now. Because moving around, flapping my jaws.
You've been in the studio all day, though, so they're probably cooling you down
It's
a
a
little
lot
bit.
colder in your half of the studio than it is in my half of the studio.
Nobody believes me. Because you know what they do? They follow the science of what's on the thermostat up there.
You need to stay on task.
Okay. So what we're going to do to find out who's hottest, I think it's going to be me because I've been busy jumping to conclusions, running my lips.
So you go first then.
All right. So we'll take the temp.
You've got like a fancy no-touch digital one.
I like this toy. It's nice. It fits very discreetly into my little bag here.
Oh, by the way, I'm supposed to tell Andy that Brian Hansen said that you wanted your temperature taken rectally.
Yeah, we don't have time. Sorry.
That's the only reason why.
We can make time for that if people are going to watch on YouTube Live.
I'm going to go back to my studio if that happens.
So it's a nice, discreet little toy, and it takes very small batteries, and it fits into my my thing, and it's shaped just right to take temperatures. And is what you do is you put it in the appropriate spot. So I'm going to take we're finding out who's the hottest member of Wake Up Columbia this morning. I'm at 97.7.
97.7, all right.
97. So I'm saying I'm the hottest. Rathert checking in and referring to himself in the third person.
How do I do it?
Well, I don't know.
You just hold down the button?
Yeah, let me take it. I can't have you kids messing up my stuff.
You gotta hold it closer. You didn't get it.
That's probably why it's not working.
He's doing it on purpose.
Gary
so
Nolan.
He wins.
Gary Nolan's show is coming up here in just a few minutes from now here on 93.9 The Eagle. Man!
97.8.
Hannah!
Edged out.
Right now is the hottest member of the Wake Up Columbia family.
All right, Andy.
All
right. Do it right into my camera here.
All right.
All right.
Oh, Andy gets to take his own?
He's over 21. Uh-oh!
Oh, no.
Ladies and gentlemen, can you hold it up to the camera? 97.7. We have a tie, ladies and gentlemen.
So now what?
I don't know. I didn't think this all the way through. Didn't think it all the way through, guys. So it's a tie. So there you have it. Hottest members of the Wake Up Columbia family. I knew
Everyone except Branden.
There you go.
Did they? 875-1099 is our front office line for complaints. Did they really just do, because somebody didn't hear the whole thing, did they really just do a contest where they're measuring people, judging people based on their looks? They did. Who's the hottest member of the Wake Up Columbia family?
Andy's going again. Oh, it was lower.
Oh, I cooled off a little bit.
To be fair, I'll do it.
97.5, I cooled off a little bit.
So do you just push the button and...
Yeah.
No.
Well, no, you have to hold it down. You have to hold it down.
Fascinating radio.
97.7 again.
There you go.
Let me take mine one more time. We're going to do over. By the way, tomorrow on the show, we have another school board candidate joining us. Andrea Lisenby was on this morning. You can hear that in the Wake Up Columbia podcast. Go to the 7 o'clock hour.
What is it?
Two-way tie. Again.
97.7.
Man. All right. So here's what we're going to do.
Is it the best of three? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Here's what I'm thinking on the fly. Here's what we're going to do.
This is dangerous.
Andy, you're out.
Yeah.
Well, no, you did a do-over and still lost. You had a tie, and then you did a do-over and lost.
You lost the first time and did a do-over and tied. You can't just make up the rules.
I'm a Democrat today. I can make up these rules as I go along. If I want to get rid of if I want to do away with a filibuster, I'm going to do away with a filibuster, dang it. And do what I want.
Mm-hmm.
We could do this. Here's what we're going to do. We'll take a break really quick. I'm going to go run a couple laps around the building, come back, take my temperature again, and then we'll find out who. No, let's
seems like cheating.
Hannah, the producer. She wins both rounds of who's the hottest member.
But there was a tie both rounds.
But you were the lead tire in both situations. Come on, Hannah. We're running out of time here, okay?
My freaking bad.
Leftovers coming up. We got a big old pot of leftovers. That's coming up at 8:51. Leftovers coming up at 8:51. 93.9 The Eagle. Tell your friends about Wake Up Columbia.
93.9 The Eagle. Watch the show on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page.
I believe that we all should feel comfortable with who we are in our own skin. But I think sports should all be played at an even playing field. I don't know what that looks like in the future. But it's hard. Honestly.
It's the most decorated Olympian of all time, Michael Phelps. The guy brought home like Fort Knox from his trips to the Olympics over the years. A swimmer. Talking about that dude, Leah Thomas, who is a swimmer for the Chicks team at the University of Pennsylvania. Folks say, well, but he's been on testosterone suppressant. Well, there's doctors that have been saying, especially on the reels of this story, say, well, testosterone suppress. And that's what they do. They suppress. They don't knock out, do not get rid of testosterone. So you have a superior male taking part in a sport, and it's science. It says men are better athletes than women when it comes to that kind of stuff. And that's why he is performing, because apparently he's not cutting it as a dude swimmer, so now he's swimming with the chicks, and he's killing it. And teammates, they're not happy. They're not, oh, great, look at how we're doing as a team. They're like, we're losing opportunities because the playing field is not level here. That's Michael Phelps saying, yeah, you got to have a level playing field. And it's not level when you have somebody who's a guy who is taking part in a female sport. That is not a level playing field. And his teammates are saying that. And the NCAA is being forced to look at it. I don't know if they're doing anything because they want to be politically, well, he identifies in, in the suppressant stuff. Welcome into the show. Wake up, Columbia. Get ready for the Gary Nolan Show. A couple of things coming up tomorrow. I'm really excited about this. There was an article, Business Insider, and I don't do the fear-mongering stuff. I just don't do that. But this is something I've been thinking about even prior to stumbling across an article on Business Insider, and folks saying, hey, we're looking at the origins of civil wars. There are some similarities if we look at things right now. What's happening right now? State rights versus rights granted to us by the feds. Voting rights right now. Racial issues. And this thing with the masks and vaccine mandates. So there's a lot going on. So not in the effort of fear, but just in an effort to say, let's take a look at this, man. Somebody's going to be on tomorrow talking about that. And then we're going to be featuring another school board candidate who is going to be joining us. Mr. Adam Burks is here, 7:35, and we've reached out to all of them, and we're working on make sure everybody gets here. If you want to hear the school board candidate interview, school board member candidate interview we did today, Andrea Lisenby, check that out, Wake Up Columbia podcast. Hannah will have that up by 10 o'clock this morning, something like that, and you'll be able to go there and listen. In the coming months leading up to the municipal elections in April, inform your decisions and then help what we can do. Because, listen, you're a conservative. You go on facts, by the way. People running on facts, I'm thinking in the school board, are going to have an uphill climb based on what we've been saying. So that's some of the things coming up on the show for you tomorrow here on Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle.
Here's a big old serving of leftovers on 93.9 The Eagle. Enjoy.
What's hot with Hannah today? Times when people take a selfie, maybe not the most appropriate time. Like if in the story, which is posted on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page, woman getting rescued, her car crashes to a frozen pond. They're saving her life, but she had time to stop and
take a selfie.
So any weird times like you've taken a selfie that you're like, yeah, maybe that was not the good time to do it. Anybody post anything like that on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page?
No, we just have a lot of people making fun of this lady.
It's one of those, like, really, do you laugh or you go, what an idiot? Here's what I say. I'm 100% behind what she did. I almost, at one time years ago, road tripping through Idaho, almost tumbled down the side of a mountain. My car got stuck for like 36 hours, and I had to, like, out in the middle of nowhere, dirt logging road at about 9,000 feet elevation. You know what I did? This, of course, before cell phones had cameras on them. I took pictures. I still have those photographs to this day. I'm taking pictures. of all that stuff. Also in leftovers, I love this today. When was the last time you've admitted that potentially you've made a mistake, or that you said, hey, I'm willing to listen? I'm in the midst of doing that right now. Admitted that maybe I wasn't completely right on something. And that has to do with homelessness versus family homelessness. I had two people, one of them Stephanie Bell, another one Marcy, a good friend of mine, Marcy, said, hey, you talk about homelessness and you have your opinions, but have you considered the aspect of family homelessness? And I'll tell you, my eyes are opening up. But that's happening because I'm willing to listen. And unfortunately, we have so many people in politics all over the place that just can't say, hey, yeah, this didn't work, or we did the best we could with the information we had at the time. And yeah, the New York Magazine says, listen, progressives in school districts nationwide, when we're seeing the science, as they like to say, the mental health and other crises for young kids, mental health emergencies among children have gone up. School closures carry high social and economic costs for people across communities. And they're saying it's okay. Say, and this is locally, nationally, statewide, say, you know what? We got it wrong. The CDC is saying regarding masks, they're saying, and their wording, their language was what the public has pretty much already known. These masks don't work as well as people thought. They're saying it. Why can't school officials and elected officials and just people say, you know what? I was wrong. I'm sorry. Say it.